Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to tradertv.live. It is Tuesday, March 31st, end of the month, end of the quarter. For the second straight day, it looks like stock futures moving back into negative territory after a relatively flat start to the morning. We were a little bit higher, we came back to about break even, and now we're continuing to move back into negative territory. As are crude oil futures, big move to the upside early on. We're up about 6% in crude oil futures. They are also now moving back to the downside. The move comes after a big move up on Monday. Markets were nicely higher on Monday, led by Johnson & Johnson shares, obviously, after they announced they had a candidate for a possible COVID-19 vaccine. Globally, investors also embracing more realistic efforts from governments to control the spread of the virus. On Monday, U.S. President Trump announced he was extending social distancing rules that have been put into place in the U.S. until April 30th, a couple weeks longer than he had been anticipating. Despite the recent bounce, all three U.S. major indexes are on pace for big declines, both for the month of March and on the quarter. The Dow down 12% in March, its worst monthly performance since October of 2008. Also, the worst quarterly performance since, 1987, and the worst quarter ever for a first quarter. Worst quarter performance ever for the first quarter. Individually this morning, we're seeing shares of some of the travel group moving higher. Airlines are higher. We also have some of the cruise lines bouncing back, which is good to see this morning. We'll see what happens. And we'll also get U.S. consumer confidence level for March coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. Let's get going here. Lots to get to. We have Arun standing by. We're going to touch in with him and see how things are shaping up as far as the futures are concerned. For now, let's head over to the desk and say good morning to Neil.
Good morning. Yeah, we got that $3. Doing our social distancing still. So Sean in the shot there. Look, it's going to be a wild one, as you mentioned. Worth noting, I threw it in the chat there. Norway, world's largest sovereign wealth fund, looking like they're going to have to sell off some positions to meet the government's demand for cash when it comes to the relief. They own like 1% of a lot of major U.S. names, certainly, that are in there. I mean, like Gap, across the board, 3M, you just name it. You can go to their website. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. We are off only 1%. Oil did recover a little bit, not recover, but bounce back to the downside after some nice little gains. It should be a wild and active market for this quarter end. I do want to jump quickly into the numbers so you can see how well some members of the company did yesterday. Germany and NASDAQ, you had traders in both those markets pulling out 50,000 at the top. London 18,000, New York 16,000, Toronto 12,000, Stockholm and Paris coming in 5 figures for the top trader in each of those markets. It should be a lot of the same today. That month end, quarterly end should be a very, very active day today. But I'm looking forward to a few names here, looking at VVUS, which is certainly in play, gapping up a couple 100% there to the upside. And of course, we're going to talk about some NEO and some Amarin, which got absolutely slaughtered, right, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, Amarin, yeah, I'm long right now in Amarin right here at 4:30, but yeah, no, it's been a crazy one. Here we go, AMRN, if you want to look at the screen right now. Not a favorable judgment there on one of their drugs, and it looks like it may go generic before anything else. So if you look at this little chart here from yesterday, bye-bye, so we were $13 yesterday, and today we're $4.33. So we're long Amarin. It should be a fun day. Like Brendan said, we do have Arun coming on and talk a little bit about the futures. I know Kevin was talking a little bit about the futures in the chat. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Big time guest again, our friend, I guess we can call him now, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, on the show tomorrow to talk all about the coronavirus, some mind med as well, and what's happening in that space in general, psychedelics and whatnot. So we're super excited. Join us tomorrow around 10:20 or so for Kevin O'Leary, guys. We're very excited to have them.
Yeah, big show tomorrow, big show coming up today as well. We have T.G. Watkins joining us for the first time from Simpler Trading. We had Danielle Shea on last week from Simpler Trading. We're going to talk to T.G. Watkins. He's focused on equities a little bit more. So that'll be interesting. Should be around 11:20 this morning, so stay tuned for that. Let's jump into some markets here. Have a look at how things shaped up overnight. First off, in the APAC region, a little bit of a mixed session once again for Asian markets. Japan, Australia to the downside. Everything Everything else, though, nicely higher here right across the board. We'll shift over to European markets and have a look at how things are shaping up heading into the midday session here. Just Germany and France to the downside. Everything else back into positive territory. Italy was lower earlier. Looks like they've now creeped back into positive territory as well. Good to see. Let's have a look at North American markets here and see how futures are shaping up. Yeah, we were basically break even when I sat down this morning, but back to the downside now for all three major U.S. markets. TSX futures pointing to a negative start here. Brazil's open already, down about 1%. You can see crude oil, big pop this morning, 4.23%. That was up, as I mentioned, about 6% early on. And gold futures back to the downside as well. Speaking of the futures, let's have a little bit of a look this morning at the NASDAQ futures. We'll bring in our good friend Arun, futures trader here at Day Trade the World, and have a look at what he's looking at as far as individual levels are concerned when it comes to the NASDAQ futures this morning. There's Arun. Good morning, Arun. How are you?
How you doing, Brendan?
I'm good, man.
Let's be on from home, you know, coronavirus times, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting time to say the least. Although, bit of a flat start once again this morning. We are kind of creeping back to the downside. Yesterday was a little more subdued, not the volatility that we've been used to over the past couple of weeks. What are you looking at this morning as far as the NASDAQ is concerned?
You know what? In terms of levels, I've got 79.05 to the upside and a 79.60, which is the overnight high to the upside. But my concern with this market is the way it's putting in new highs. It seems to be hesitating every time it goes to new highs. It backs off. You know what? It does want to. It seems like it wants to try to go up a little bit, but I don't know. I think the downside here, and I'm hoping the downside here sets up in such a way where the fallout could be that much bigger than the upside potential.
Yeah, we're seeing, I mean, I guess a little bit of a retest as far as yesterday's kind of high goes, as far as resistance. Is that kind of the area that you're concentrating on that should come in to play a little bit as resistance today?
I mean, we broke overnight. We did break out yesterday's overnight high, and we put in two different highs overnight today. But we haven't been able to hold it. So my concern here is how much upside do we really have? Because it seems like the goalpost is moving in terms of what the ceiling is. So with that, what it tells me is that they're selling above the top. So if we get near the highs, like I said, 79.05 is the stop that the first stop that I'm looking at, and 79.60 is the top of the market. So if we can get near 7900, even 7850, and start to hesitate, I would like to see a short. I'm looking for a short. I'm not banking on a short. I would like to see a short and see how much of a downside we have, because I think the bigger trade here is to the downside, given that I have nothing until about 74, 74.10 or 74.20 is what I've got. 74.25 is the next level, which is almost 400 points away. So I'm definitely looking for a downside move. I'm not going to ignore the upside possibility. It's just that I'm very hesitant, given how the market's moving. It seems to be hesitating, and it seems like every time we put in new highs, there's more selling that comes in and pushes it down. So the highs are getting tighter and tighter, which is a concern for me.
Yeah, it was interesting to see, a couple of days back to the upside to end last week, and then yesterday, obviously positive as well, which was kind of going to lead me into my next question here. Obviously, the overall sentiment in the market, the overall move in the market is still to the downside, as you just mentioned. The bigger trade possibly could be to the downside. How much are you focusing on this bounce that we've seen over the past couple of days as far as your bias goes into each session?
You know what? I don't really have a bias. I come in every day and I set my levels, and I'm willing to take trades in front of them. I'm trying to, I'll take trades if they break. I'm open to going either way. And now in terms of long term, I'm looking at 7,300 as the major downside level and about 8,130 as the major upside level. So anything in between that for me, I'm thinking we're going to be range bound, right? That is a huge range though. That's about almost 800 points, over 800 points on the range in terms of the long term. But in terms of short term, though, we can go either way, and I do not care. Because in this market, given how big the ranges are, you've got to be able to take shots in between those ranges, right? The big ranges.
Yeah, one of the things we were talking about last time you were on with us in studio here, we mentioned, after such a big move to the downside, the market kind of has to put in a little bit of consolidation here. As far as, these ranges kind of tightening over time, how long do you think it might take before we get a little bit of expansion once again intraday?
Okay, well, I mean, there's a lot of factors in play, right? Today, what you've got the end of the quarter. You're going to get some imbalances coming through at the end of the day. So there's going to be a lot of money moving in today at the end of the day. And I'm sure at the open as well, because sometimes they split the amount of volume that's done. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that a lot of flow brokers are off right now because they're stuck at home, right? So like you said, to start the show off now, if the social distancing rule is applied till April the 30th, then these guys there's no decode orders coming in, right? So all the floor broker volume that you're going to get is not there yet. So I would say if April 30th is the date that's been set by the president, then I would think that April 30th is when all of this is over, when people can get back on the floor, that's when you're going to see a lot more volume pick up again, hopefully.
Great stuff, Arun. Thank you. We won't keep you any longer. Get you back to your charts and get you set for the open. Appreciate your time this morning and always good insight. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brandon.
There you go, guys. Arun, letting you know a little bit of, kind of support and resistance to look out for today when it comes to the NASDAQ futures, specifically if you are the type of trader that follows the tech sector or the NASDAQ in general. They're, great levels to kind of keep in mind as we watch the morning play out. Let's jump into some individual names here moving around in the pre-market. We'll start with ConAgra, guys. We had an interesting move from CAG, obviously. Mentioned it at the end of the show yesterday. We were talking about how CAG was set to report earnings, and they were slightly better than expected, although the guidance was going to be a little bit of a problem once again. So CAG, what are we looking at as far as individual levels here as I get my charts ready to go for ConAgra today?
I'm actually looking, Brennan, at this 28.50 at the bottom here. You can certainly see the entirety of the session, with the exception of right at the open when you get that crazy little volume wake up through 29 to 29.20. That was that top, and it held throughout the rest of the session. We then gap above that one. It's very, very light volume, and this is why it's going to look so whippy when you try to look at just today. And again, this is what it's going to look like when you look at pre-market action. So, when that's the case, I'm only ever looking at the distance levels to see if you get those spikes into those ranges. For me, that'll be that 28.50 mark. Maybe you get some sell action into it on some volume when the first 5 minutes or so teeters out there. But otherwise, I'll probably stay away. Again, when it's this thinly traded in the pre-market, you don't want to get too heavily involved in the middle.
I mean, I like what they were saying. It makes sense. I mean, it's a good space that they're in right now, food preparation and whatnot, but yeah, a little bit thin. Neil hit that on the head there. We're going to look at ConAgra once it opens up. Let's take a quick look here before we go on the market imbalances. You can see here it's actually pretty light today. This is what we're talking about right now in the chat. Hopefully you guys can join us on the YouTube chat right now. And there's an article on CNBC. I just tweeted it out, and thanks to Dimitri for this, that the rebalances are happening today, but then we got confirmation that they're not. So right here, it doesn't look like they are. There's not too many shares here, but the one thing to notice, guys, all buys. So one name I'll be looking at for sure, and it was a great trade yesterday. Hopefully we can do just as well today. J&J is on here as a buy. XOM with a 5% move in oil also on here today. So those are just a few little names that we'll be looking at here as the market gets set to open.
All right, guys, we'll take a pause here as far as individual names go. Speaking of the chat, let's get over and say good morning to Valeria. Good morning.
Morning, Brandon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live trading show. Guys, hit the thumbs up and subscribe for our channel. If you watch us from Facebook, like and share our video. Also, feel free to ask us questions and leave us comments. And if you just joined us and you're passionate about trading or you want to learn how to trade, you're at the right place in the right time. I'll be right back. And for now, back to traders.
Good stuff. Let's continue along here. Amarin, we mentioned briefly there in the pre-market, if you were joining us at the start of the show, Amarin receiving an unfavorable court decision from a Nevada court. It has to do with their drug BOVESPA, which is a treatment for high triglyceride levels. Hikma Pharmaceuticals and Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, which is RDI, also a public company, looking to make a generic version of this drug. So Amarin getting absolutely hammered. Sean, I'll send this one over to you. You had picked out a spot where you like to the long side.
Yeah, I did. But the thing is, I don't know. So what I was basically doing, Brendan, was it's a little hard to read the charts because they're all over the place right now. And obviously with this kind of a drop, 70% down. I mean, Amran was kind of a nice story just a couple months ago, and I'll put up the monthly chart, the daily chart in a second. I just thought this was a little bit of a breakout here. We broke through 430, bumped up there a couple times. We got there on big volume right here at 8 o'clock, and then we bumped up through again. And, you know, it went in the money about 10 pennies, but now we're just hovering around here. I think it should be a decent long at this spot. Look, I mean, the downside is $4, so it's not like I have too much to worry about, but this is what I'm talking about here. You know, big bumps up on the potential release of this drug, then they get an unfavorable ruling, and now we just come crashing right back down, breaking through this $10 level. This is not trying to make a home run or anything on this trade. It's not a huge volume spot for me right now. We don't have too much risk on, but I do think it's worth it here. Give ourselves a little bit of chance to get back into the 470s, 480s, even back to test that 5. So whenever we have a 3-to-1 or so risk reward ratio, I think that's pretty good. So right now we're long Amran, small shares, but I will take more if we do break this top of 440. So right now I'm looking at this one, like I said, not too much action here other than a few of these little names. So I'm going to be on Amran right now.
Yeah, I'm sort of with that. I mean, 415 I was looking at in the pre-market myself, and then that 425 area as well. It's done so much volume, there's almost no getting away from this one today. You know, I trade these ones that gap up and do good volume. You got to be willing to trade them that gap down, and it's just the same simple gap retracement. And obviously, you know, the news isn't favorable, but the company's not necessarily going to zero today. You know, when you have 14.5 million shares of trading, you got to be able to take advantage. So we're going to be looking at this one. I like both those levels, 15 and 25.
Worth mentioning on that story as well, the company said it will pursue all legal remedies to this court ruling, so obviously going to appeal. So more to come possibly on that story. Let's shift over to Zoom, guys. Everyone's favorite video conferencing software coming under a little bit of pressure this morning. New York Times reporting that the New York State Attorney General is going to investigate some of the company's privacy practices. So Zoom moving to the downside here. I mean, the whole market's down about 1% as well, but ZM down about 2% so far.
I mean, not a huge amount. Obviously, again, like when you say that the market is down, it's just a little bit ahead of the curve there in terms of its move. You can see the bounce that it's had from the top, and it was actually, up until yesterday, was on its way back to that 166 mark, which was that high. I was looking at a few levels here, and I've got written down for myself 146.60 was a nice level. When I looked at if you looked at the last few sessions or so, I did like that 146.60 area. It looks like a nice little sort of, maybe not even a pivot, whatever you might want to call it, but if we can bounce off that could be a good one, as well as 145 should be support. So, if you look at some of those prices, I tend to favor them in both directions for breakouts. However, I just be cautious. That first level, that 146.60 area, if you do short that, you got to run into a possible bottom there just $1 away. So especially off the open, I would be a little bit cautious with that price level, given how big the spreads can be and how whippy some of that action in the first couple of minutes is. I just feel like the winning percentage, the last little bit on some of these more thinly traded names in the first 5 minutes isn't necessarily that good these days.
No, it's not. We've taken big hits on the first couple minutes. So yeah, I'm just looking at, look, it's close to 150. I'm going to use 150 as a breakout and then play it from there. So you can take, like Neil said, the only problem with taking a Zoom trade here is the fact that the spread could get you. So just minimize some of the risk that you have. Understand that you could be facing, you may plan, like if you say, you know what, I'm going to get long here at 150, which I like, and I think I'll try that. You could plan to get out at 147, but the problem is it may dry up and you may get out 145.50, 145.25, something like that. So even though you may have a $3 or $4 stop, you have to allow slippage of, I'd say, at least $1. So let's plan appropriately on the Zoom trade and just take the right amount of shares. But I like a 150 break. I mean, it's not too far away from its all-time highs of 165. So I think this is okay. I'm not too worried about some of this looking into from the New York Fed there. there, or I guess I think that's what you said there.
Attorney General.
Attorney General.
Yeah.
So I'm not super worried about that. They look into these things all the time, especially when a company gets so much love like Zoom is getting right now.
All right, guys, we'll shift over to the energy group here. We saw crude oil there up about 4% still. It was a lot higher when I sat down this morning. So coming back a little bit, we dipped below $20 briefly yesterday afternoon. It did end up closing back above, but U.S. President Trump and Vladimir Putin agreeing to sit down and have a chat about kind of stabilizing the overall energy markets. That seems to be helping the price for crude moving back to the upside today. I brought up Oxy here. I mean, we can have a look at Halliburton or XOM or whatever you guys are interested in. But Oxy here to start with 4.8% to the upside. Sean, you like this one?
I do. I don't mind Oxy. I mean, we traded it yesterday pretty good. I know was it Neil's trade of the day yesterday, maybe, but we definitely were on this one and we made some decent money yesterday on Oxy. Just got to call it up here. Sorry, guys. 600,000 shares, so we like the volume. So we'll hit the market green for them today, up 5%. You can see, like I mentioned, they're actually up exactly the same as oil right now. Both are up near 5%. So yeah, if you could take out 1174, that's great. I mean, look, this is going to follow oil, but the problem is they're in big trouble. I mean, the oil price right now is $20, and that's to get it cheaply. These guys pay a lot to get it out of the ground. Oxy 1120 down here at the bottom, 1175 at the top. I don't know. Neil, do you have any opinions on these levels?
Yeah, the thing about Oxy, like, it was almost a trade of the day yesterday. It was really just playing a pre-market level that we had at 1125, and you can see a bit of a shelf, and then it fell off, and it was sort of an easy trade through there and through 11 even. The only thing I see is a similar type of level here at 1150 that it bounced up off of. For me, it's been a better trade fading this name through those price levels when it drops. Haven't had as much success breaking into the longs for whatever reason. It just seems like whenever we're doing those long trades, it's an XOM, which feels like the better play. I might even take a look at a Halliburton as well to see if that behaves a little bit better. For me, I'm looking at that 1150. If it falls, given the retracement we had in oil back down to 21 now, I could certainly see that being an interesting sell point.
All right, let's go to Microsoft, guys. Noticed an interesting story. I mean, it was doing all kinds of volume in the pre-market. Not a big mover, but definitely higher relative volume in the pre-market for Microsoft today after the company clarified a blog post from last week that they were talking about a huge uptick in their cloud-based services over in Italy over the past month. And when I say huge, I mean 775% uptick in activity in their cloud-based services, specifically in Italy. But they said aftermarket yesterday that it had more to do with their calling services. So similar to a Zoom, they have obviously web meeting type services, and the increase in activity was specifically around those services, not their cloud-based services. So Microsoft actually red now, but all kinds of volume here in the pre-market.
I mean, did you guys see Microsoft? I'll take this one and throw it to Neil in a second. But Microsoft yesterday up 7%. So obviously maybe on some of those rumors there. And you know what? Microsoft just continues to rock and roll. I mean, look, everyone's sitting at home playing on their Xbox. That's Microsoft. We talk about Skype. That's Microsoft. They have that Azure as well, and that's a big cloud computing project as well. So Microsoft is such a great name. They're huge into all these portfolios. Remember something, guys. Microsoft and Apple, these are heavily weighted in a lot of these indexes. So when you're seeing the Dow going crazy and the S&P going crazy, you are going to see some moves in these names. But I just did notice, I pulled it out yesterday. This is all of yesterday. So we opened up yesterday around 150 and closed around 160. There's your 7%. But we stopped out at about 160.50. So when I zoom into more today, I'm seeing something very, very similar today. You're getting basically a stop right here in the pre-market at 160.50 again. Now we're bumping up to 150. I'm sorry about these wicks here. 159.50. So look, I'm going to let Microsoft settle down. We'll see if we can't, and I'm going to try to find this one right now for you quickly. If we can't wait in the weeds a little bit, I like this little graphic. We'll wait, see if we can't wait down 158 or so and pick up something on maybe a flush. But it has to break 160.50 for me to get excited, Neil.
Yeah, I like that. I'll give you another reason to like that area a little bit better. If you sort of go back into mid-January here on that move up to 190, there was a temporary dip down, and that little bottom was just above that 160 mark. You look the majority of the volume that day actually at that 160, about 20 or so. So yeah, definitely watch out. breakout. It's not going to be a huge move, probably until it breaks through that point. An interesting note, and I saw someone mentioning this online, and it made a lot of sense to me. With the relative strength of something like a Microsoft, on the down days, it's always interesting to see that Microsoft is usually the first name or one of the first names to recover back to VWAP. A lot of times that signals an upward trend. I look back and I saw a few times where that did happen. We'll see. I mean, we're only down 0.5%, so it's not like that's necessarily going to apply today. Just an interesting tidbit that I saw.
All right, guys, let's go to some of the airlines. Lots of news, lots of movers in the airline group today. Boeing got what is being called an airworthiness directive from the FAA, and this has to do with their 757 200 to 300 model planes after an inspection found cracking in one of the fuselages. So looks like they're going to have to inspect all of their 757 200 through 300 planes because of this issue. So Boeing moving to the upside, surprisingly, on that news today. But all of the airlines, AAL, DAL, Love, Southwest, if you want to have a look at that, all in positive territory so far this morning. Guys, what do we think of Boeing?
Boeing, I mean, ultimately, I'm not sure that this news is really weighing in on why we're moving to the upside. Like you said, there are all of the airlines moving the entire space, getting a bit of a recovery. So I think that's probably more of the story. I think with Boeing, you just got to look at the overall picture, how far it had already come back from that 90 mark, doubling in price. I mean, you double in price in a matter of a few sessions, you are likely to have some kind of a pullback. So, the fact that it's bouncing off that little pullback is a decent sign of strength there. I'm looking at the levels here. You look at the afternoon, and there was a little breakout through 150, 151, 150. So that's a level that I'm looking at today. If we can get down there and hold support, any kind of consolidation there should be a good jumping off point. Just watch out again. If it's a southbound day, that's the type of level where you might turn around and do a little bit of a short. You can see what happened off the open at that same price and then in the afternoon. So that 150, 150 for me on Boeing is sort of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, Boeing, right now, I just want to check in for you guys right here on the imbalance. It's actually only 50,000 shares to buy, so not super exciting for me right now. I do like Boeing. I can't believe it was 190 a couple days ago and then 140 yesterday. So the volatility in this name is definitely there. Here's another name I like, Alibaba, but unfortunately that's only a bid of 30,000 shares as well. So yeah, we are trying to find out more about that rebalance, but like I said, we do have some sort of confirmation now. It doesn't look like with some of these market on open orders that there's going to be much of a rebalance today, but if you guys find anything, let us know in the chat. Look, it's going to be a great day. We do have Brendan at the big screen to wrap one more up.
Yeah, we didn't get to the cruise lines, guys. Some of them moving around in the pre-market here, including Carnival, down huge, 14% to the downside. Bit of a bounce right now, but CCL to the downside. They said they're stopping their dividend payments, their quarterly dividends, and also their repurchase or share repurchase program out the window for the time being. So big move down here. We're kind of consolidating around this 1125, 1130 area. If it gets up here to 1150, there was a little bit of support on the way down in the pre-market at 1150. So let's see what happens there. Norwegian also extending their suspension of operations for another 2 weeks as well. So this group could be interesting today, guys.
Yeah, I think that definitely qualifies as true. Was looking at CCL a little bit the last couple days. I just had a few levels written down like yourself. It's just about watching those key prices: 1240, 1170. 13 even. I see, Greg, you're talking about a name there, Tops. This is a penny stock that I've been trading in the afternoons pretty well. It's actually finally bottoming out, it looks like. I mean, you see in the pre-market we had that dip from 50 cents, and I'll show you what was going on, at least yesterday. There was a bit of a dip down at 50 that we were able to play off of in the afternoon, and then it sort of leveled off a little bit, gave you another sell just going into the close in the aftermarket. But Tops, it's done 38 million in volume. It's finally possibly hit a bottom at 20 cents there. We'll have to have a look at this one if it retests that level or even breaks out through 25. Should be worth a look. I actually just got triggered into a name that we did not mention, NEO, in play as well. As they're up 4%. UBS disclosed a position in them. I just like the level at 275. That was a good price, a little bit of a base there. So starting a position in the 80s for me. 283 we just started it at.
Yeah, NIO was another great one there. We talked about that. NIO, good car maker in China. I don't know. We'll see if that can come through. I see you, Kevin, talking about Teva. I do obviously like Teva as well. So we'll be trading some of that today, bumping up. We can have a look quickly at Teva, bumping up to $9 right here on some nice, decent volume. There was a Teva story, I believe. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was one. It was either today or yesterday, obviously in the big generic drug space here. In healthcare, all the rage. So Teva right now, 440,000 shares, a nice little 5% move here, making its way up. So it's near $9. That's normally a level that I'll be shorting off of. So let's wait to see here what Teva does, Kevin. Right now, not too certain. The only position I have on right now is Amran, as Valeria going around there. I don't know if she's winging the bell, but I think we have Michael on the bell today from IT. So thank you, Michael, for continuing to work really hard and keeping us up there. Hey, Michael, how are you? How's the family? Everybody well, my friend?
There he is.
Is everybody okay, Michael? How are you doing, Michael? Good, there's a wave. Okay, there we go. Getting excited here now. Only 20 seconds to go
here. I actually was waiting for this 415 to 425 area on Amran. It just slammed me in there, so I add that to NIO to the long side. But we got to jump to this open. Bell is about to ring in 10 seconds or so. We just got back to 2,600 on the ES, so watch out for some of your longs possibly bouncing through. Yep. 3, 2, and 1. Market is open. Month end, quarter end. We will see what happens. Amran right now, nice little bid there that just jumped in. We're about to flush to 415. Yeah, someone jumped in at 415. Someone jumped in at 420. I got 25 to the long side on that little dip. I like that 15 area as a bit of a base. NIO as well. I got shares at 283. That's holding steady right now. 75 was that level I was looking at.
Okay, yeah, we got more Amran as well right there. We're waiting for CCL. Nice little move back to the upside now on Carnival Cruise Lines, looking to fade off that 1125 right now on CCL. So I was waiting for a 1090 break. That still could come. So let's maybe talk about averaging. And right now the only position we do have on is that Amran long. So we're going to wait to see if that one can or cannot hit. Looking at CCL though for the time being.
That VVUS, I know we didn't really cover it, but took one stab at a breakout long and got stopped out while we're sitting there talking. It breaks through that 4 even mark and comes right back to the downside. So gonna have to watch this one closely. If it retakes that 380 area, this one could be a short. However, didn't have any locates when I had a look. So the only play is if it can hold 380 and turn into a secondary long.
Okay, we tried a small little bid there on CCL, didn't work. Offer there. We lost a quick 10 pennies on that one. Maybe now if we break through this 1150 area, this could be a decent little run here on Carnival Cruise Lines. 1150. Oh, there it goes. It just broke. So I was looking at a chart there. Nice little upside move. Hopefully you guys have this one on CCL. The only one we have right now is Amran. Just the chart looks ridiculous, but it's hovering around this $4 mark. So we're going to get out if that does break back down through $4. Nothing happening right now in Softy, so we're going to have to wait on that one, guys.
Yeah, quickly looking over at Zoom, we wanted to check in on this one. It did flush off the open at 144. Now remember, you got to let this kind of a thing settle out a little bit here. It is holding that 145 level. That level I liked was 144.60. If we can hold above that, it could be an interesting long position. Futures aren't really moving too much, but I'll tell you what is moving. That tops. I just tried to get some in there. Greg, what a great look. I love that you got some shares down there at 21. I just tried 25 on a bit of a break to the upside. Couldn't even nab those. So unfortunately, we didn't get those shares. I did add to my NIO position. 75 was that level we liked. I added some shares down there. So we have 80 as our average price, and Amran now working in the money for us. I'll try to pick up some tops if we get a retracement to 25.
Yeah, tops. Good name there, and good look by Greg there, of course. Join us in the chat, guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Conagra today, we talked about that early on, and that's getting a nice little bump. Wow, 12%. Was not expecting that one. We were looking at a $30 level. We were talking about it in the pre-market. It bumps up quite huge here. Conagra now up 13, while 12+%. I want to check back on J&J, 134, a nice little drop. Let's try to find some space to pick this name up when we can. J&J, little drop here, 1.7 million shares. Brendan, give us a name, bud.
VXRT, guys, another one in the vaccine space. We didn't get to this one either, but VXRT moving back to the downside. Bit of a pop in the pre-market. They said their version of a COVID-19 vaccine is now set for human trials as well. So a little bit of a break of 2 back to the downside here for VXRT, guys.
Good look on VXRT. Definitely going to be adding that one to the list. I do want to come in, talk just a little bit about that Teva that was mentioned. Like we said, it was up 6-7%. I know we didn't cover it, but it just broke through the $9 mark to the upside. So a bit of a breakout possibly happening in Teva. Unfortunately, unable to get it right away. I'm going to see if we can't slip into some shares. If we hold above 9, I like the potential here. You can see where it could go on the daily chart. You had an 880 to 9 consolidation area. So we'll give it about to that 880 mark as we build a position around 9 even.
153 even. I'm just trying to check out what is this level here, 150, 150. Looking at Boeing, I do like J&J. First of all, guys, if we could break back above, get into this area here, 135.50, we will go long J&J. We're still long and we're dug in to Amran, so that's going to be a big position hopefully for us. Okay, Boeing, I wanted to look at yesterday's close, guys. Yesterday's close is right here, 152 even or so. So if it can crack through 152 to the short side, I like Boeing 152 to the short side. We're only at 153, so that could come in any time right now. So we're going to put an order in, and we're using a stop order, right? So I don't know if we have, I think I have it. Oops, damn it, I just had it on here. Stop order. We have a little stop order sell. There it is. So we're going to put it in order here. These are little graphics that we've made up. We'll put an order in. Once it triggers at 152.50, we will be short into Boeing, although it's going up right now, but I do like that price going short side 150.
And going up, CCL missed out on that 11.50. We talked about 11.50. We talked about that 11.25. Sean mentioning it there, but also 11.50 breaking. It just got to 12 even. So this one continues to run. I mean, if you go to the daily chart, it's going to tell you a ways away from a resistance point. So this one could be a big time runner today. Going to quickly update the position board because we do have 4 positions on right now. And they're all long. CCL, just halted. Carnival Cruise just halted, but Amaran long 425. Neo, we got at 280. That's out of the money, 4 cents. Teva, we just started this one at 908. And then Tops, we picked up at 25 cents and change. That's approaching 27. So we'll take the board off here. Carnival Cruise Lines just halted a few seconds ago. Looks like it's a volatility halt. You can see the move that just happened through 1125. Quick dollar move in Carnival and then immediately halted.
And that's hilarious. Yesterday I was in it when it was halted. Today you're in it.
Oh no, I actually didn't get the shares, so I missed the trade. But I would, if you get that long, you're halted to the upside. You're loving it.
I like this Apple trade as well. Apple's strong today in a relatively weak. I mean, not that the market's weak, but Apple today a little bit stronger than the market. The market's down, Apple's up. So 256.50. We're going to go long on this name as well. The Carnival Cruise Line. The miss was when I was talking about it. We should have, guys, been long right here, 11.20 instead of me going short here, breaking out that top. I was just defending it. Unfortunately, when it breaks, we get out. Thank God. But that would have been a great little long spot right there off of this 11.25 break. So we missed that one. But if you're watching the show, at least you're able to see it live, and that's what a halted stock looks like. Here's XOM up 2% as well as oil down. Sorry, up 3.5%. We're going to check out XOM. But right now for Brendan, what's up?
Some earnings, guys. Restoration Hardware, RH, formerly Restoration Hardware, moving back to the upside here. Had a little bit of a pivot around 105 in the pre-market. Big move down after market yesterday, obviously. Earnings per share, not good. Revenue was kind of in line, but their forecast obviously questionable because of the coronavirus. Lower foot traffic in stores, they mentioned as well, but moving higher. RH, guys.
Yeah, Restoration Hardware is definitely one that, was on my list and actually forgot to mention it. We got some shares out in Amran there at 32, but it just keeps failing at this top. The pre-market 435 right before the open, 440. So those are the levels that have to break. It's holding that area pretty well at 415. I mean, the liquidity is not the best below there, so it'll dip below and then sort of snap back. Probably a place to dig it in front of 4 even. That's going to be the shot. 26 million, so liquidity is not a problem. I can tell you, I wish I had gotten in as early on tops as Greg. I've been only shorting it in the afternoons, but today it does look like a bit of a base. We picked some up at 25 when that broke, already taking some out there at 27, at 27.8 or so. So look, you can take a 10% return there. This one was at 50 cents in the afternoon yesterday. Lots of room to bounce back the upside, but look, it's a penny stock. It's not going all the way back there.
Yeah, guys, hit us up. Pump. Okay, I see that. Talk about Pump. We'll check out Amran and Pump right now going through. Okay, Apple, we are long 256.50. We talked about taking that long as it breaks through that high. But right now we're out of the money 30 cents. So we're going to give this a little bit of room to 255.50 or so. And if that comes through, then we will take a little bit of our position out. But I do believe in this Apple long Hopefully we can defend this little choppy area here of 254.50. That's not good. That's $2 lower than where we're at now. But hey, look, if these futures can get going, right now you're seeing them pulling back down a little bit. So that's not going to be good for any longs, especially in a name like Apple. Amaran, yeah, you're right, modern investor. It's hovering right now around the same spot. I was expecting with 30 million shares that we would actually be doing a little bit more volume than this. But right now, Amaran, I'm still long. We could have taken out a few pennies, but I still think this thing can get back to $5. I don't know what you guys think, but
yeah, what a move here in tops. It just popped it all the way to 29. So Greg, fantastic. You got yourself a 30% return. I wish I had a price that was that good, like that 25 buy. You get a bias in a stock, and sometimes you're only looking at it for that one direction. But today it's certainly to the upside. I'm going to probably trail this one. I see some bids coming in here at 28. I'm not going to let that get taken out. You want to make sure you lock in some profit and use this liquidity to your advantage on a name like this. It could come in heavily, so we'll trail this one. 28 cents is where we'll try to get out of that one. Long here at 25 and change.
Yeah, we got out of Apple there, but then bought a little bit more back in on that 255.60 break. I don't know. Are these futures going to continue to go down today? We will see. But right now, I'm back into Apple. Average price $256.28. So we already did take about $1 or so hit on half of that position, but now we bought some more back in right now in the 80s to give us a better average price. So right now, Neil has a lot of positions. I only have 2, so I can't find my way into anything right now. J&J, again, part of trading is, guys, you got to wait for the opportunities, right? And so J&J, that 135.50 never came through. Actually, a nice little move back down to positive area for J&J. So this may be a decent spot to look a little bit long here. I'm still hoping that Amaran can run though, boys.
Yeah, we're tested that bottom here in NEO. It's still up 1.6%, but off that opening range, you let it flush through, see if it can hold it. It's recovered it for the time being. The low it puts in is 273, so the price area is held for now, but I'm not going to let this one go past that low. We're basically going to dig in here at 75. If 73 breaks, that's going to be my out on NEO. The volume's not nearly as high as I was anticipating. I mean, I guess I'm sort of jaded by looking at tops cross the 70 million mark, but that's a penny stock. NEO can do more than this. 3 million shares isn't that bad. We'll try to get a price in the average of about 77 or so, risk 4 or 5 pennies, see if we can't bounce through. Thought we'd have a shot at that 290 today, possibly even testing higher than that, but for the time being, it's the only long not working. Tops is in the money as it crosses 33 right now. We're long at 25 cents here, and it's just about to cross the 33-cent mark. NEO not working out. Teva in the money as well. That one's all the way up at almost 9.25 now. But Brendan, what do you have for us?
Another little cloud name, guys. Cybersecurity company Net here in New York, up 7.5%. Nice look here. This is all-time highs for this thing. Above $25 was all-time highs, already at 26 almost. But Net's moving to the upside, guys.
Yeah, wow. Nets is definitely moving to the upside here. Maybe we should take a long in here. Nets.ny, I guess, in New York. Here we go, up. No, is it, what is it? It's net. Oh, that's why, net. $26, yeah, wow. What a big move here on this day from 23 to 26 up. Still a nice little 10%. Our Apple's finally starting to go a little bit here. Again, this is exactly where we were long. We already took a bath on half of them, then got back in. So we do have a little bit of a better price now at $256.28. So we do take a dollar hit. So we're trying to let this thing go to $257. If that happens, that would be fantastic. Waiting for that net stock. If we can break through, Brendan, $26, that could be a little spot to look for a long.
I got to hit this to the moon. As I'm looking over, I'm thinking, oh, I can get 35s out on this top. What a ridiculous move. And then it snaps back down from 35 to 30. The price action is crazy. As much volume as it's doing, these are crazy moves that you're seeing happen in the last couple of minutes. Starting to get parabolic. I'm going to dig in. Like I said, I've got a trail to 28 and we're long 25, and I'm just going to go with that. Hang on to the rest of these shares, see what does happen. I want to talk about that Teva for a little bit. We missed out on an opportunity. You can see a couple of orders on this little flush down when it tested that 880 that I liked. Tried to catch it on the way back up. You don't jump in front of the sword. It can be hard to get shares on the way back in. We're able to get a target out there at 9.28, so 20-cent win on this name. We're going to roll the second half, go with a 9 even stop, but that's already been a winner chicken dinner. Why not? That's going to be a good one. We'll see if we can't run it even higher than this. So Teva up 9%, still going.
Wow, CCL all the way to the upside. downside here. This was a missed opportunity by far. Today we do have someone crushing this bid though. 12.79. CCL off that halt, guys. 12.10 all the way to 12.80 right now. CCL, what's up, Brendan?
Another little vaccine name, guys. Thermogenesis, THMO. Big move to the upside, 33% here. Just broke $4 on huge volume. They have apparently notified the FDA that they will distribute their new rapid response COVID-19 test into the marketplace, guys.
Guys, explode some money for Apple right now, finally going up in the money, 80 plus cents. We take a little bit out now. Apple to the big time winner right now on this name. So Apple, nice little 80% winner. We just take some out at 257.10 there before it falls back down. But let's hold on to some of this Apple. I think we can get definitely a big one. And AMD, we take that one long as well. So we'll see what can happen here with AMD as we go long right now. What was that price? 48.23. Wow, we did spike all the way to 33 on that break. So we'll see if we can't get some out. We're hella long right now. Apple, AMD, and AMRAN, and we're CCL short. This is a 40 penny winner. Look where we're short CCL. 12.68, guys, on this pullback. Good little trade there.
Yeah, quick look at a name that we didn't talk about, and I want to throw this one to you, RDY. This one is sort of related to the Amaran play there. Is they're a generic drug maker. They're Dr. Reddy's. They're only up 1%, but bad news for Amaran means that they can produce that drug, obviously, and it goes generic. So I'm having a quick look at them. There is support on the stock around 39.80 to 39.30 or so. That's a target range to be long in front. Just keep in mind, it's not really heavily traded, only 39,000 shares, so you want to make sure that you stick tight to that price level. I need to drop a little bit before I jump into it. The spread's not bad at 30 cents. It could end up tradable. Just a name to watch out for on this Amaran news.
Yeah, AMD falls right back down, so right back down to 48 and change. Right now, everything going pretty well, though. Our CCL, we did just cash them out. This is a quick 40-cent winner there, so alley-oop to the halt there, giving us a good opportunity to get in at 67. It was easy structure, man. Our out was going to be 13, so now we take in that 30, 40 cents. So that's a nice little win for us right now on CCL. Hoping this thing can even fall back even further down. We do have a few bids here in the 12.20 area. Remember, guys, we're short 12.66 right now on Carnival Cruise Lines. That's the big winner for me right now.
Yeah, it's looking like that 146.60 is definitely a good level on Zoom. We're sort of targeting in on that one and not wanting to trade it right off of the open. Let it still out a little bit. But you can see here, every single move to the upside after it flushed down $3 at the open has been terminated right around that price. It's failing at 146.30 to 50, so 146.60 remains my level. I haven't been willing to short this price yet, given sort of the lack of fluctuation in the futures. I might stay away from that and only be bullish. When we break upside, that could be a great place to go long in Zoom. But Brendan, what do you have for us?
Another little vaccine name here, guys. BBIV on the NASDAQ, about 15% to the upside. Nice look in the pre-market, kind of coming off here. This is $1 right here, so just be careful. We're hovering above $1 for VBIV. They're teaming up with the National Research Council of Canada, guys, to develop a COVID-19 vaccine.
Look.
Way to be Canada. Raise the flag up there. Anybody watching us from Canada, hit us up in the chat there. Chewing up the bid, is that Chi? Oh, nice short, CCL. Yeah, exactly. Love this CCL. I thought we were talking about Chewy there for a minute, Greg. Yeah, CCL, big time winner. This may be the trade right here. So really happy with this one. It's 50-cent winner now. Wow, here we go, Greg. Good look there. Thanks for getting me excited. We are short $12.66. So a nice little 50-cent winner on this pullback. We're out of half already. So let's see what this can do to the downside right now. Our AMD was a nice winner, but now a loser. So we fall into a hole there on AMD. And let me see if we can flush. Let's flush or fall. Let's flush. Flush ourselves down on that AMD idea. We'll revisit this in a minute, guys.
Yeah, quick look at Restoration Hardware. Got all the way up to 112, now pulling back in. But look at this pre-market top. There was a breakout at 105. On the way back, I think Restoration maybe could be at least one shot. I'll take long in front of that 105 area. After that, maybe you're reversing to the short side. Keep in mind, this is down 9%. It was beaten up. It did try to rebound off the open. Let's see if it has another leg in it.
If we can get some low 12 bids there, CCL just moving around a little bit. We're out of 60% of this trade, but I am looking at that. Okay, let's go back to our Amran. Unfortunately, this is about to break 4. So yeah, this will be out of the blotter as soon as $4 hits. There is some resistance here, but again, it's because it's SSR, right? And so it's got to chew up these offers before it can go anywhere. And right now, people trying to hit the bid, so that's why a lot of the times you get a stacked up offer. But oh, there it goes. Okay, so resist $4 a little bit. We're still long here, $4 $3.30, so not great, but a 15-cent loser is okay for me to hold on to. Right now we are watching for our AMD to see if that can get going, but look at the futures, guys. We're back to the downside right now. I saw Valeria, you made a prediction, 26.50. I hope you're right, but we got to get all the way back up here for that to happen. Right now we're falling. Watch out for this quarter move here, 25.75. If that comes through, we could be in a little bit of trouble if you're long.
Sean, speaking of quarters, just watch out for 11.75 on Oxy here. It's still up at 6%, with the market rolling over a little bit. It's made a bit of a top here right at the open. It was 10.75. It failed to break through that price, so I'm going to be shorting this stock in front of that 11.75. I've been sitting here only in longs, which outside of Amaran have all been pretty good somehow, but I think this is a name that will take our first short in here. I just took some shares at 11.67. I'm going to have 11.75 as my stop. I know it's gone a little bit higher here, just a wick through to 80, so you can use either one as a stop or maybe a stop area, let it travel into that price and see what happens. But the market back below 2,600, approaching 1% down on the ES. The NQ holding up just a little bit better there. We do have Amaran coming back in the money. My price there is 414. So, you know, it's had a tremendous amount of resistance in that 435 area. I do feel like I'm going to have to, if it comes back in, take some shares off for what might not be as much profit as I would have liked. But 425 to 435 is probably a decent area to start taking some wins on this trade, as it's running into too much resistance at that price.
Yeah, good luck there. And thanks for the credit on CCL, guys, because right now we're basically disco balling it up right now, guys. This is a 90-cent winner here on this. So we do take this short right now and bang it out for you. Give that to you. We just take some out at 12. Now we'll see about even lower now on CCL. So a nice little winner. Confetti for everybody in the chat that has that, guys. Hit the like, share this. Let us know how we're doing for you. But the market just continues to fall. Unfortunately, my Apple is getting squashed right now because it's going to break down through 255 right now. We did take a nice little winner on that. We're basically flat on it now. We're down 80 cents, but you know, Apple right now coming down with this market. Not a pretty sight. Like I said, if you're long, it's going to be a little bit of a problem here. So we'll hold our CCL to the short side and try to hope that this Apple can bounce. But our out spot's going to be right around here, man, 255 and change.
Yeah, you know, with the market coming down like this, I did have that breakout in Teva we were able to capture. I'm going to cancel those bids that we failed to get, but it couldn't get past that 30 mark. We take the 20-cent win, and then break even, we're going to stop out with the market against us. I'm just going to recap the positions here. Down to 4, and I actually do have one short on. I had just mentioned to you guys we took Oxy to the short side. That's the 11.67 short. We like that 11.75 to 80. Maybe you want to use that secondary as another place where you can have a stop. Amaran, average price was 14.5. We've taken some out, so it's going to show 414 even that we have there. Top still long at 25, although it's come way back in. It's at 29 now. Got as high as 35, so that was a good one. And Neo, look, I mean, we're long at 280, and I thought there would be some action. It was in play today. It just is a very, very sleepy trade. I still like it. We have our stop down there at 73. Maybe it can get some legs behind it. The market dropping off here isn't helping, but Neo just not nearly as active as I was anticipating today. That could be when we start trimming the position just out of lack of interest. Why have capital wasting away in Neo?
Yeah, we'll hit the this time and be falling a hole. Yeah, Apple, we are out of that trade now. We'll look to get back in if it does break down. But look, it breaks through 255, and unfortunately, womp, we get out there breaking through 255, and now it goes back up to where we were. So yeah, the market's a fun one today. 225.85 right now. Looks like it might want to hold that. So watch out here. If we do break below this 25.80, your longs could be in trouble. We're basically out. Well, I'm out of most of my longs now. What's up, Brendan?
NRZ, guys, moving to the downside. This is another little real estate investment trust. They came out this morning and said that their book value has decreased anywhere from 25 to 30% since the end of December because of the coronavirus. So NRZ to the downside. Huge volume on this thing too, guys.
Yeah, definitely a good look on that one. I'm just still looking at Zoom here. So it's put in a range at the bottom, and it's held 143.50. That low has held after it got there in the first couple of minutes. It just bounced off of 143.70 or so. We still like that top at 146.60. It just seems like now there's a bit of a defined range that we can play. On a retest of the low, I will be, at least thinking about and probably putting an order in somewhere in front of that 50 bottom. Maybe you take it at 144, something like that. You don't want to risk too much, so I want a little bit tight. I think we'll run into resistance at that 146.60, but it allows us to play maybe $1.50 within the range and only risking about a third of that. So that's the only way that I'm taking long in a Zoom, which is down 4%, unless we get that break through 146.60, which at any time of the day I'll probably be involved in that name. So Oxy to the short side, it's still right around that 1170 mark. Tops has really calmed itself down a little bit here. I mean, the volume's approaching 100 million, but look at this level now holding at 29. It's not the worst idea that I might think about just jumping back in and adding some shares. We have 25 long, maybe adding some 29s, using a hard stop. The one we have at 28, we can still use that stop, but just load the shares up a little bit more and see if it has the second run in it, and maybe even get a nice little reversal in top. So we'll take a look at that as it's about to break 30. We'll maybe get some shares there.
What's up to Mark? I just got a note from Valeria there. Thank you very much for the nice comments on Facebook. But if you are on Facebook, the chat is way more active on YouTube. So please come over, Mark, and join us on YouTube, where we're chatting it up, and we'd love to talk to you there as well. I'm looking at a 37.99 break here, obviously, on XOM. So if we could break through 38, let's go short on XOM. Oil now coming down to the downside. Here comes XOM, just rifling to the bottom here. We're picking this up late. I mean, this was just at 38.40 to the top side here. So this is going to be a late call, but I do like it, man. If we can break down below, we could retest these bottoms here, which is at least 88.89. There we go. You see that little indicator? We are now short $38 on XOM. Let's see if this one can't make us back a little bit of what we lost on Apple, guys.
Yeah, we're going to go a little fireworks action. That short that we put on in Oxy already moving for us. You can see this top, pre-market top 11.75. Same thing right off of the open. Failed break through that price. We load into these shares, get ourselves about 11.69 is an average price. We just took some shares out in front of 50s. That was a level that we liked yesterday to the downside. So why not see what happens if it can break through one more time? So 11.50 is going to be that breaking point. We'll want some shares off to scalp in front of it. We want to see if we can't hold through an 11.50 break. If the market wants to continue southbound, got to have something you like to the short side. And right now, for me, it's only been Oxy. We could maybe have a look at Zoom breaking that bottom as well. But for the time being, it's just going to be Oxy for the short side.
38 spot 35 here. Just looking at where we would get out of XOM, and it would be right around here, right where this VWAP is, 38.20 and change. We're going to average into this if this wants to go against us more. You can see here, we can call up the oil chart here. It's a little bit of a different font, so it's a little hard to see, but we're still down 1.9%. And fading back in, man. I mean, oil coming back in here. It does touch that 2025 level before bouncing back to 2050. The trend is still down, so I don't mind our XOM short as long as oil is still here and in the money for us a little bit. But we'll have to watch oil on this XOM trade. If this wants to break, if oil breaks back above here, 2070, 2075, then I will not marry onto this XOM trade. But I'm going to average in to this one right now so far today. So good. The market trying to bounce off that 25.80.
Yeah, quick look over at American Airlines. 1250 was the level I had written down. It got there eventually off the open, breaking down towards this little 1230 bottom that we have here. And now we're in a bit of a channel. If we can hold maybe that 7,800 that I'm looking at over on the NQ, hold this bottom in the ES, we're still up 1%. We're still positive in the airlines. The whole space was to the upside. 1250 could be a nice little breaking point. So we'll keep our eye on that. But now let's go to Brendan. What do you have for us there, buddy?
Another vaccine-related name, guys. AIM Immunotech moving back to the upside here. Already filled this gap. We did gap higher, still up 9.75%, we'll call it. Filled the gap to 270, a little bit of a bounce here. They posted their full year financial results aftermarket yesterday that were a little bit better than expected. So a nice bounce here for AIM, guys.
Good look there. Another thing it's a good look is, thank you, Kevin, for reminding me, some relative strength over in Tesla. And, sort of worth a look. You're mentioning 515 as a price. Yeah, look at that nice little break. And the futures, like we said here, sort of hanging at that little low that we had about 20, 30 minutes ago. But bouncing to the upside and now at 3%. Tesla is on the move. Got to watch out for this one. Having missed that breakout trade, I'm probably looking to see if we can get something down in that 510 area. You look at the daily chart, it is primed to make some kind of a big run today. So maybe your 515 is the start of that little party. But for me, I need to get over to that Amaran position because $4 is coming. It just couldn't get any juice going. And, could have been more aggressive taking shares off at the 420 mark. Did not do so and about to pay the price. Could have had a lot of this trade off at that 420, which would have been at least some kind of a win, and then you're tempering this little loss if we can't hold 4 even. Amaran trying to bounce, so far failing to do so.
Yeah, I'm taking more shares long here. I think that's a prudent decision. So we'll wait to see here if I can get some more long in Amran. Okay, right now, unfortunately, this XOM trade, we've averaged into this short. It looks like it's going to stop us out once again here, unless the futures somehow decide to turn around. Oil is heading to the north side here. So right now, our average price on XOM is 09. So we're out of the money 10 pennies here, looking to see if we get stopped out above 38.30. That would not be a good one for me, but we will wait to see if that's happening now as well. Amran right now $4, like Neil just mentioned it. Average. We've only bought right now all of this stock at 406 and then again at 405. So we're going to wait to see here what this does to the downside here about breaking through $4. Obviously, it's a very easy structured trade. That's why I like it. Amran is very, very simple right now. You take the long around $4, and you saw the size there. And if you didn't, I'll scroll down. There's some size defending $4 here. So not that it can't rip it through. There's 40 million shares today, guys.
It's still a couple 100,000 shares. It's a couple 100,000 shares. Yeah. It's certainly worth a look there. And, ultimately, that's why the stop is there for me. It's liquidity. It's also that even area. And it has held so far. I want to jump over to Zoom because it's still in the middle of this range. And I'm waiting for this 146.60 break and also looking to see if we can't catch something near the bottom on a bit of a bounce. Zoom, I don't think is going to hold that range. It's a breakout candidate through 146.60. But this market looking a little bit weak. That top position, we did load back up. We still have that stop at 28. Our long is here at 29 and change. So on the way up from 25, fantastic run. We'll reload and then only risk about a penny or so. So it's not a lot of risk on a name like a Tops if that 28 goes. But Zoom got that order ready to go in terms of a breakout through 146.60. And then, of course, we've talked about that Amran. I will jump over to show you what's at least going on or not going on in NEO. We are right now basically holding in the money with a 280 long. We need to get through this 284 before we start even thinking about taking any kind of profit off. 5 million shares seems like it's good, but believe me, this stock is not really moving today. I expected a heck of a lot more from NEO.
Oh man, Apple right back to 255 and change. I'm not going to be trading that one too much anymore. XOM, we did take a little bit off there at 15. So again, our average price was 9. So we'll wait to see if this one wants to come back down here. Got to watch the market, man. The market is rocking right now off that 25.80 straight up. You can see this is the level I was giving you guys. Watch out for 25.75. That's basically exactly where we bounced. We had that in the pre-market, then we bounced there again, and now straight up 20 handles from there. But if this can fall down, then I think that XOM may come back for us a little bit, so that's a good sign. Our Amran still chilling out here at 413, so our little long that we picked up down here at 405 seems to be okay, but right now coming back for us is Amran. Let's hope that can come in, and here we go. Let's get going, XOM. Maybe XOM will fall down, and I don't know, we'll go bearish a little bit here on the oil sector. Let's see if this one can't fall back down. We're now back to flat on the trade. 38.10 is our spot, and that's basically right where we're at right now. So let's see if we can't make some of this money back on XOM. CCL just chilling out. We're out of that one. We only have 20% of this position left. CCL looking to get excited again to the upside. Watch 13, guys.
Interesting look here on Boeing is got all the way up to 158 before falling back down and retesting the pre-market high at 156. Dips below, holds VWAP here, 155.50, bounces back above that 156 mark. I'm going to start a long position here, just using that VWAP 155.50 area as a bit of a basis. I see the futures trying to get back to the 2600 mark, so we jump into a long position in Boeing, our first one of the day. I want to add, if I could, closer to 156 even. Right now we got 33s. Our stop, as we mentioned, right there at VWAP. So Boeing to the long side. We also have still that Tops. That could stop us out there. Amran has managed to hold so far, so that's been pretty good. Those are all the longs. Oxy looks like it's going to test that top, Sean, and of course, as you get a bit of a bounce there in oil. So we'll watch out for that 1175 to 1180 area on our short.
Yeah, good one. And XOM does hit that 38.30 spot there. Obviously, you see the futures running here, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem for the XOM trade. 38.30 got us out, but you could fade back down. I may give this one more shot here. If we break down below 38.20 one more time, I'll put on an equal amount of shares there and see if we can't get back below. But for right now, XOM, we're a small little long, but I am waiting for 38.20 to break, and we'll get out if that does happen. But right now, the futures are just so choppy right now, back and forth, up and down, about 10 handles here from 25.80 to 25.93. So watch out here if you are trading. I'm still hoping that Amran can go.
Yeah, and reversal, there's Oxy taking on that top that we talked about. So 1180 is absolutely gone. So we can flush that one down the toilet. We did get some out in front of 1150, so not all was lost on that short, but the rest were reversing. Seeing we can't hold that little bottom. So now we're once again only in long positions. We'll update the position board just to show you guys. You can see a flash at the bottom, but we just turned around into 1182 long on Oxy. Neo still got that 280. Don't worry too much about that. Boeing's in the money, about $1 on that 156.33. We didn't actually get a further pullback to get more shares into that one. Amaran's holding at about our price at 412. It hasn't really broken below that $4 mark, so that's holding up pretty well. Quick look over at that Boeing trade, like I just mentioned, just to talk about a target. We did, like I mentioned, we got to 158 as a bit of a top. It could be a breakout through there. The relative weakness in the market will lead me to get out in front of that top. If we can take $1 to $1.50 out in front of the high, I'll be very, very pleased with that return. Again, one of those little VWAP retracement type trades. And as we take this profit in just a few seconds likely, it's time for us to go to Brendan at the big screen for Happening Now.
Hey guys, 10 o'clock. Let's have a look at some North American markets here, see how things are shaping up after 30 minutes of trading in North America. S&P 500 still negative territory, but only 0.76%. So decent little move there. We also have the Dow in negative territory, 0.7% to the downside. The NASDAQ, Russell, TSX here in Toronto, all also negative. You're going to see the TSX actually did get positive there at the open, 2%. To the upside, some energy names, cannabis names doing really well today as well. Have a look at weed, guys, in Toronto. Big move to the upside. Down in Brazil, BOVESPA is still negative, but only about 0.5% to the downside. Wanted to show you this one, CNQ. Some of the energy names also bouncing back, obviously, with the price for crude oil. This one up 15.9%. Nice move here. This is 16. Had a nice move up to 18.5, a little bit of a consolidation above 18. So energy, cannabis, and some of the mining sector as well moving to the upside in Toronto, guys. Nicely positive for the TSX. Back over to you.
Yeah, we hit the weed Batman there. Good little look there. A sector that we normally do look at there, the cannabis sector. We can check out CGC in a second, but I did want to talk. We did get a question here from Max, Beyond Meat. It's amazing. Is that we're talking about Beyond Meat there? It's amazing. I don't know, but we do have a stock logo here for Beyond Meat. So those of you that are veggie fanatics, there you go. Get your estrogen there with Beyond Meat. 68 right here is the high that I like. If we could take that out, then I will be long that name. Wow, CCL, good. Like, we're out of this one, but what a great break that was. Oh, actually, no, for some reason I have 10 shares, so we will bid out of that one. And now we're out of CCL, but what a great little trade CCL was. I wish I would have saw that. I see your note now, Greg, that there was size at 1250, but CCL, big time winner for me. My biggest stock today, obviously. Haven't had much luck on XOM or Apple so far today, but we'll be back. I want to look definitely at Microsoft coming up soon. Look at the futures now approaching 2,600. So Valeria, you're 2,650, looking better and better right now. Let's check out Mr. Softy before we go. Yeah, 160 is the level I've been waiting for all day. Should have actually picked up some 158s, but we'll see if Softy wants to go through 160. We will be on that one as well.
I'll hit the airplane for Boeing there. We did get the dollar, the quick little retracement play off that VWAP bounce. It does fail to break through the high. That's why we take the profits. I still might look at this long on any kind of a pullback or retake of that 158. I want to see those futures get through that 2,600 mark. I feel a heck of a lot better about that. We did trigger into that zoom that we've been waiting pretty much all morning for. We wanted to wait for this one to make a real bottom here, bounce through 146, take out that 146.60 level that we're looking at. So it did. I like this one now in front of VWAP. We'll add to this position, and hopefully we hold above and start to make a move towards those pre-market tops at around 150. So Zoom, we got to the long side. I talked about Oxy, which we reversed to the long. We already just took some profit off there on a little bit of a scalp on that 180 break. Couldn't get through 1190. So let's see if we can't run that one into $12 even. That's our 4 long positions. Our only short was that Oxy that we reversed long side now. So we get through that 2,600. We'll be sitting pretty on all of these positions. But I can tell you that Neo sliding in the money very, very slowly. But I'm not taking any profit until we get past 285. We'll continue to monitor that trade.
Yeah, that's a small one, that NIO. I was expecting more today off of that stock for sure. Yeah, Zoom, good look there, 147 and a quarter. I don't know, we'll see if we can get up to that one as well, as it looks like it wants to run right now. We are now in Zoom, 147.30. We'll see if that can break the bank here and go upside for Zoom. And now it looks like it's starting to go 147.80, 147.90. We'll see if we can't take off some shares on Zoom. We're long right now, 147.33 with some stuck ARCA books. So
yeah, and it's like,
we'll flash those off.
Yeah, like you said it there, I just took my first dollar out of that Zoom trade. Again, didn't get that little pullback, but remember, pre-market top, like I just mentioned, that's going to be my target for the rest of these shares here. A 150 mark, so if we can get $3 on the second half, that's what we're basically looking at. Going to move our stop a little bit. We'll give it to that 146.60 that was our breakout point, now throwing to a break even on the rest of the Zoom trade.
I'm hella long everything right now. So we go long Microsoft right now. Wow, big winner on Microsoft, guys. I need to take some of this out before we look at this and gift horse in the mouth. Big winner on Microsoft. We're long 160.40. We hit the 160 long, then we hit the 160.55 long as well. So right now, nice little winner happening in Softy. What's up, Brandon?
Tilray, guys, just have a look at some of the Canadian cannabis names. Have a look at Tilray here, 16, 17 now percent to the upside. Just went from $6 all the way up to almost $8 in the straight line on Tilray, guys.
Attaboy, Tilray, attaboy.
Good
Get that week
Tilray
going for you guys there. Tilray going upside. Nice call, Brandon.
Sean, a bit of a recovery in that Amaran, and what I'm going to do is lighten the load of my position here. I talked about it last time, and sorry, my chart's is gonna freeze there, but I got past that 420 mark, and of course, we're sitting here long on Amaran. Our price now 407 when you factor in the shares that we got on the average in. I'm going to see if we can't take some profits on the way upside. You can see it was just running into a lot of resistance, and again, we'll try to zoom in so you guys can see better at that 425 to 435 mark. So definitely going to lighten it up to about a quarter of our position to see if it can't take out that high. But all the longs now working. Switched. We haven't had a short since that Oxy trade, and the market just got through that 2600, Sean. So looks like we're getting some continuation, baby.
Hell yeah, and hells to the yes. Microsoft right now, we go right back, guys. We make everything back that we lost in the morning. Crushed Microsoft. I told you guys 160 we liked 160.50. We take both. So it is swish time. How you guys like these trades? Just out of Microsoft, no problem now. I wish you guys could see this. Bang, 160 in. Bang, 160.50 in. Now we get them out to the top side. Great little trade here on Softy. Loving that one. We also take Beyond Meat long, J&J long, Amran long. Let's go, baby. This day is getting nice if you are a bull. We get bullish. Let's go, Softy. Absolutely destroyed this one, guys.
Yeah, it just got triggered into AAL there, 1250 break. So add that to the long positions that we do have on. Just trying to reload this chart so you guys can quickly see. Of course, we did have that Zoom trade that's working in the money for us, pulling back a little bit. So only 70 pennies in the money, but AAL with a nice little break. I'm going to show you Amaran here. You can see the structure of our trade. We do have orders trying to get 25s and 30s and 35s on a push, but we have taken a good bulk of our position off in between this 418 to 424 mark. So it gives us the flexibility, I think, to load back up in front of that 4, which I was hesitant to do earlier. But now that we've lightened the load, if it wants to retest the bottom, I feel a little more comfortable doing that. Zoom's back in the money about $1 or so. Amaran, like I said here, working well for us. That Oxy is back to flat. Probably going to put a stop at 1175 on that one. 1182 we have long.
Yeah, you can see the profits below on Microsoft. We absolutely crushed that one, guys. Great trade there. Our Zoom, we're long 147.33. It's at 148.50. So there's another $1 winner for you guys right there on Zoom. I know Neil gave you one. Here's another one. I'm in it 3 times. So bang, in there, out for a third, out for a third. Now we wait for our last third right now. A nice little $1 plus winner on that one. J&J to the long side. Bang, we get long 32s there. We get out 66. So that's another winner there. Hit the air horn. Wow, this day has turned around like crazy for me, but we'll continue to go. We are long Beyond Meat, 68.74. And you know what? This is a good time. Why don't we put up our position board? Let me see if I can get this to work. And then, Rob, I will go to camera 2 right now, and we'll throw it up. Here it comes. Here we go, guys. Amran, that's a 422 long. That's basically flat right now. That's 3 cents out of the money. Our Beyond Meat is up 30 cents. J&J's up 30 cents. Microsoft's up $1. Let's go. Zoom up $2. Let's go. Turn around, Sean. Let's start hitting some of these trades. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, here comes that Zoom for me. We're up about 220 on it. My target is basically right here. We're just going to take it out. We get 149.35. It kind of cut off a zero there. Time to punch through. And again, I'll show you this pre-market level here. That was at 149.70 in front of 150 that we wanted to take this one out. Structure of the trade was 146.60. We set it off the open. That was going to be the price. I didn't like the long until we made a bottom, and I was willing to take that long once we based out, but it never really gave it to us. And then we didn't like it till it was a breakout through 146.60, which was, of course, our key level. So great trading in Zoom. Sean, you got that one as well. It doesn't hurt. We got that 26 hundo in the ES, and we are today from positive on the session. So that little sell-off that we're looking at earlier on, we'll see. I mean, it's early on. We're not gone yet. But to the upside, we still have 4 long positions on, one of which is Oxy, which continues to go for us. The short was okay for half the trade. We reversed and we didn't want to fight it too much. The price actions to the upside in this market. Now we're going to work some off in front of that 12 even. 1182 we got long side.
Yeah, this is what a great day. What a great multiple dollar winners on right now. We take off some J&J. Bang, that's a 70-cent winner as well. So we rain down the money. Let's go, money. Let's collect this one right now. Coming right down for us. Great trade there. Zoom, we'll wait to see if that one wants to work out as we're breaking through 2,600. Great call there for everybody. Amaran, look, my day could explode if Amaran goes here. $4.25. Let's just get by that. We're long $4.22. Amaran, we have not taken any of these shares out. We buy here early 416, 406, 411, 412. Let's get going, Amaran. If we can break that 425, your boy will be monstrous right now. J&J also breaking above 130. That's a 70-cent winner. Let's take out some of that. But right now, everything, 3 positions right now, dollar winners. So that's not horrible. But we are ready at the big screen. Get some more ideas with Brendan Wickens.
Upgrades and downgrades, couple of things moving around big time. Amaran, one of them. They actually upgraded Amaran even with that huge move to the downside. You can see still 69% to the downside for AMRN. Cheesecake Factory, we've been talking about this one over the past couple of days as well. 3% to the upside today after catching an upgrade. HP Wendy's also in positive territory. Kron really the only one in the cannabis group not moving higher today, 5.5% in fact to the downside. Honeywell, Live Nation, and Twilio also downgraded on the session. Let's shift over and have a look at Cheesecake Factory. A couple of days down, somebody upgrades it, now moving back to the upside. Nice day, 6.8%. Broke above this little pivot early on this morning. 1725 was a little bit of resistance there right off of the bat. Nice break if you were watching this one, but Cheesecake Factory, guys, on its way up to $18. Let's look at some of the things upgraded and downgraded. Back over to you.
Good look there, Brendan. I'm having a quick look at this retracement in Zoom. And again, take that profit out. We identified that level in the pre-market, 146.70 or so. Turns around right in front of it. That's why we get out. I want to see if we can retest that price we had from that 146.60 break. Maybe we can have a long through there as the market continues to go. So, the breakout trade looks like it's fantastic. I can tell you another one that's going, and you couldn't fight it. We gave you that 1180 break through the top. You get out of your short in front of it. And then now here's a $12 mark in Oxy. We did take some out in front of that 12. Now we're going to let it ride. Going to slide my stop down to about 11.95 to lock in some profit and then let it run. I mean, the market is going. We're positive on the session. We got 4 longs here and looking even for some pullbacks to pick up some longs that we liked and took off for profit. So bye-bye Oxy. Here we go. Almost 10% up this stock is.
Yeah, exactly. We're just tweeting this out, guys. Follow us on Twitter. What a day, I just was saying, to be a bull as we go, guys. J&J right now, talk about this position. 132.37. This is $1.50 in the money right now. Our Microsoft is the big hammer. We dropped the hammer on Microsoft, and man, did we ever hit this one, guys. What a great trade this was. Long right here, 160. It's $2.50 in the money right now, so we flossed that one off. Okay, the only position that's not really going for us right now, Zoom, is only 47 cents now in the money. We did have $2. It bounced off that 150. I missed that one in the chaos. So we'll put an order there, see if we get 150 again. And then our Beyond Meat Meat, for some reason, has gone to sleep in this market move up. So we are long Beyond Meat right now, 68.74. And yeah, it did absolutely nothing. It got as high as $69 there, but now fading back in. We won't let this one kill our buzz right now. We'll get out of this one shortly, guys.
I'll throw the plane in there again for American Airlines. Quick break. We gave you the $12.50. We took that one. We got 52, so a good price entry there. We got some out there. Went across VWAP at 67 for a 15-cent win. Then we just took some out there at 78. Was trying to get some at 82 as well. Unable to take those off, but a quick 30-cent win for a quarter. We still have half the position. With the market, looking relatively strong and turning positive, I think we want to let some of these longs run. I'm going to go break-even stops. We'll give American Airlines all the way back to that $12.50 mark. I'm not sure I'll reload because we already have exposure to the long side there, so no need to reload in that one. Zoom, I am looking at possibly for a reload if we can get a favorable price. The other position we have long, and I can't believe it, that NEO, like the market runs and it's just still in the money, only 2 cents. What a sleeper and disappointment that's been.
Yeah, I have a disappointment right here too, and that would be Beyond Meat. Not really going down here. We do get out a little bit there at 62. No harm done, no foul. We just thought that would be a little bit bigger than it was, but wow, what a great run, guys. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, send this to everybody. We have Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary will be here tomorrow, not in the building, but on Zoom. So speaking of Zoom, we have that trade right now. We're excited for that. Talking everything MindMed, talking about the coronavirus. Obviously, he's very opinionated, so we'll see what he has to say tomorrow. Welcome to Kevin O'Leary tomorrow. Once again, he's on last month, now coming back on again. Great to have such valuable guests. Another one today, TG Watkins coming as well, so big one coming. $1.83 now in the money for Microsoft. I'm just going to let this one keep running up. Maybe we'll get out right up here if we can and celebrate almost a $3 winner on Softy. The high is 162.75. I think that's a decent spot to take it off. If we do, I'm just going to give you guys a quick update before we go to Brendan. 161.50. I'll drop it for a $1.50 winner. That's where my stop point will be on this trade. What's up, Brendan?
Just talking, or just having a look rather, about Bristol Myers, guys. Some of the other drug makers we mentioned earlier on in the show, this one moving as well. Bristol Myers here, BMY, 2.6%. Just went from 55 all the way back to 56, which was the high we made right off of the open. BMY, guys.
That's another good look there, and I'm sort of going to slide back to Occidental there, and unfortunately for me, the one stock that I put a trail in, which was in the money instead of a break-even stop with the strong market, and I should have gone break-even and given this some more room, put it to 11.95. I put it down to 11.80. We're still riding this one to the upside with the rest of our long positions that we have over there. We've still got that Amaran and also have American Airlines, which works in the money for us as well. But this one looks like it could retest 12 even, so Oxy might not be done. It is up 9%. You're seeing the futures continue to rise here on the ES at 26.20. So you want to make sure you ride these out, and there we go, another leg out as we punch through on American Airlines. We just got those 82s that we've been waiting for. That high right before the flush at the open was right in front of that 13 even. So 13 could be a breakout point. It's going to look like resistance. I want the rest of this out in the 90s if we can get it. My stop is at 50. We're now going to slide it up to 12.65 to make sure we're now guaranteed profit on the last quarter of this trade and looking to see if we can't get to 13 even.
Yeah, I mean, this has been just a crazy day. Check the profits below. The only one I've really fallen down on today, well, XOM and Apple were bad ones for me. So those were two negative stocks. But XOM, you can see here, we tried to hold this 38.25. It didn't, so we get out. This is the thing, guys. Our losers are like 20, 30, 40, 50 pennies, something like that. Our winners are $2. So here's a Microsoft win right here. We did take it out for 50 cents. We did take some out for $1, $1.50. Now we're holding on to this one as it keeps going up. Check out these futures, guys. What a time to be a bull. The bulls are running. The market goes green today. As you guys can see, big move up. I told you guys about this 25.75 level. Held it at boom! Valeria, you're 26.50 looking mighty nice right now, so good call by Valeria on that one. Up to 162.50. I may just drop this Microsoft here if it can get to 163. We'll take a $3 winner. This is what we do. J&J's also $1 in the money. This one never went against us. 132.38, bouncing right now off this 133.70 level. I am going to take this one off though. 133.50 if it can come back up to there. We'll take off our J&J. It just seems like it wants to resist this level, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you there, taking some positions off. We had an idea over in American Airlines, one of our longs there through that 1250, just had this little stair step on the downside. And once it made a bottom end range, it showed you a 1225 bottom. You can look at those quarters. You can look at where there was a bit of a flush there and a bit of a bounce also right at the open. That's a nice retracement price, especially with the market making a bit of a bottom. We like the airlines. We did take it. But if it's going to hold at this 13 mark, I think we'll just take some profit out and then see if we can't re-engage into that trade through the 13 market. We still are left with two longs, one of which is finally going, believe it or not, that NEO trade. We'll recap that in a bit as we go to Brendan Wickens for our small cap recap.
Hey guys, we'll show you a couple of opportunities here right off the bat. VXRT, the first one we mentioned just after the open this morning. A whole bunch of names moving around in relation to the coronavirus today. A lot of little companies coming out saying, hey, we're going to do a vaccine as well. This one included in that. VXRT still up 7% here. I mentioned $2. Tested, kind of failed $2 early on in the pre-market. We got back up there just before the open. The high up here was like 208, 209 if you wanted to use 210. Valid as well. Not a huge mover, but very easily structured trade. Gets back below 2, little consolidation. You put the short on. We're down to 180, still holding a little bit of that one. Looks like it might want to test a little bit lower. One other one, VVUS. Neil mentioned couldn't get locates, unfortunately, on our end today to short this thing. Thank God we didn't, because, still up 300% on VXRT. I pulled this chart up and had this line here from a few months back when we were trading this on the show. VVUS, I'm sorry, not VXRT. This line 325, 330 area was a bit of a pivot way back when. We came up kind of consolidated above that 325, 330 area and then did give you a secondary push. So forget about this move. Right off of the open, we get a nice break above that 350 high, which would have been a good long trade had you been looking at it, obviously, all the way up to 475. So that was really the only opportunity I saw on VVUS. If you had shorts, obviously, there was a little bit of resistance higher as well. Guys, let's look at some small caps today. Back over to you.
I'm angry with myself over that VVUS because, that's a trade that I had in the pre-market, one shot and loss on that one, so it didn't work out for us. Also talk about one name that we did have successfully that we've gotten away from. The market starts moving. I'm going to jump away from a penny stock like a Tops because we got all those great long opportunities, but I don't want to sleep on it. That 28 where we broke out of our long, our first long at 25 was fantastic, but the second long that we took, reloading, we had some 25s left. We add some in the 29 range for an overall flat trade at 28 even, but it looks like it wants to try and test that. If it fails here, we can get back to shorting penny stock, which is what I love to do and prefer to do with those names. But we got to see if that holds. Tops has crossed the 100 million mark, 120 million shares done. So that's what you need if you're going to trade a 27-cent stock. If it's not going to give you that opportunity, not very scalable, this one looks like it will be. So Tops looks like a good one. I want to get back to NEO because it wasn't moving. Now it's starting to bust to the upside. We talked about that level we wanted to defend at 75. We still tried to get more shares down here at 75, 76. We did not. We did get one ad at 77, so that's looking pretty good right now. And the pre-market got up to 95. That was sort of our target. We're about halfway there. We'll start to piece out some of this position long at 280 on NEO, finally going.
Yeah, good little trade there. I love that NEO long here. And I'm going to hit this graphic, and you guys can comment if you like it or not.
I hate that one.
I mean, what is that? Some sort of a sludge here coming. But yeah, no, we were only long Apple today, and it's my biggest loser. So that's nice because right now we're up to 261. Bang, we were long 256, 256. We were unable to hold. We had to get out at 255. We only gave it about $1.50 worth of room. We did take a little bit of profit right there on Apple, but you can see what's happening right now. Yikes, up to 261 and still going, but all good because your boy has this one, and we absolutely love Microsoft. So we go from one graphic where we lost a little bit of money, but here we go to another where Microsoft, nothing but upside surprise here. 163. I said we'll take some off. I didn't, so that was bad, but we'll wait again at 163 and change. See if we can't get some Apple out of, or some Microsoft out of here. We're long, guys, 160.50. So it's right now, it's a $2.50 winner. We'll see if we'll take some off. If it breaks through 163, we will get this off. We're not going to let ourselves get slaughtered. Just checking back. Amran, I took a little bit off here at 15, hoping this can get back into the 30s again. It hasn't. So we'll wait to see on that one to stop that 25. And our Beyond Meat is the foolish trade of the day, because normally this thing would go. So I'm a little bit nervous. We're still holding on to 60%. We're long Beyond Meat at 68.74, and I'm going to take out some of this softy if I can.
Yeah, good look on that one. One other name that we kind of have not ignored, but I mean, CAG here, we did have a note on this one, and Brennan did mention it, and it was a nice little runner right off of the open, basically coming all the way back. It was a breakout at 30 right off the bat, getting almost to 32, and then now holding below this 30 mark. So if you're looking for a name which is pairing off its gains instead of running on this move to the upside, certainly this is going to be your look. I think maybe it could give you the opportunity to short in front of this little VWAP here. I think the upside maybe flush back down to that 29. Futures are rolling over a little bit here. It's a very, very tight risk stop. You're only risking about 30 cents or so to that top. So I'm going to jump in for the first time today in front of this 30 even mark. 30.20 or 30.25 or so will be my out, see if we can't get it. I'm noting Zoom is coming back into that 146.50 range. It dipped below that price. If it can retake it and hold above, that's when I might re-engage in that long, but not with the futures rolling over. We can be patient with Zoom like we were the first time. Patience paid off on that first Zoom long, but now we're jumping into a bit of a short here. Just took our first one since that Oxy that we had. That was pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm just going to open up my coffee here, and we'll ring the cash register as well. Now, affording many coffees today. 160, I just broke through 163, so I want to tell you guys that, bang, there it is. We run the cash register there on Microsoft and get out at 162.94 for a $2.50 winner there. I hope you guys had that. So if not, you definitely would have missed the boat, but we'll be back. We'll get this again, guys. Beyond Meat, I might just have to drop this. If this breaks down through 68 here, I guess we'll just give up on this one. It's a small one. We already took out, like I said, 40% for flat. Now we'll wait and unfortunately get out of our Beyond Meat. Thanks for the suggestion there in the chat. I did like it going through that high. We definitely hammered that. But if we had any other stock, FYI, we would have made tons of money, because we had this break just before the S&P broke, but Beyond Meat resisted that 69. So I'm going to get out, and this is what I'm talking about. We'll lose 70 cents on this one after just taking 250 on Softy, and we had way more risk on Microsoft than we did on Beyond Meat. Guys, you got to do risk management. That's what's number one here, guys. Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary tomorrow. Can't keep saying that enough. 10:20 to 10:30. Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, with an interesting topic, because you talk about microdosing and psychedelics and MindMed, what they're doing. One of the biggest concerns throughout all of this, and I know most people, if you know someone that's working at home or is furloughed or laid off, you're sitting at home and you're doing nothing, and you got to take the steps to make sure your mental health is good. For us, we get to still have our routine. The market's here for us. We get to trade. We're lucky. We're fortunate. We have a passion for this, and we get to do what we do, but not everyone is in that boat. So certainly some advantage to be taken there. And I got to do this to myself. You hit yours, so I'm going to hit my puke button. I know it's I think mine's creepier than yours, to be honest with you, but I'm puking over harping on that level in Zoom, making the big trade, talking about the retracement through that price. Yeah, what's this consolidation you can see right here? Let's zoom in to make me look ridiculous. Right here, bouncing back through that original 146.60 on the way up. It never comes against you more than about 20 or 30 cents. Then just spiked up for a nice little $1.50 win. If you had it, I just talked about it, missed out on that trade in terms of execution. I did try to get it, just did not chase far enough. The spread opened up on me there, wasn't unable to get shares, but that level looks like it's going to be a good one. But we're rolling over in the market. So I'm going to dig into this short in Conagra here. It's just broken above 30. We started it out at 94. 30.25 is our stop. We'll add to this position. Brendan, what do you got, buddy?
Another little one, guys, moving around. Trinity Biotech. This one did have some news, coronavirus related, a couple of weeks back. This is actually earnings. They posted Q4 earnings that were obviously better than expected. Just went from 80 cents up to 175. Was halted there right off the bat at the open. Bit of a pullback here to 150, but TRIB doing some volume today, guys.
Good look there, Brendan. I want to jump back. We talked about Tesla. I know, Kevin, you were mentioning the relative strength in Tesla as the market rolls over a bit. Certainly worth noting. For now, 530 looks like it is holding. So you talk about its strength. If we hold above and make a secondary push to the upside, we are sitting here, 0.2% up, but well over 1% over on the NASDAQ, which is certainly leading the way as we approach that 79.80 mark, maybe heading towards 8,000. I don't want to jinx it saying that, but if we get either of those things, 540 is the level on Tesla. Let's watch out. I don't think it's a coincidence that we stalled out there. A secondary push. Let's see if we can't get that price. What a move in Tesla through 500 this morning. Certainly missed the boat on the big time strength that it's showing. For me, we'll go position board on. so we can update what we're working with. We have only one short. We're working into Conagra there, to $29.95 we got right now. Want to be adding to that one. 30.25 is our stop there. Also, Amaran still hanging on to 407. We have a 4 even stop. Now that we've taken some off, looking to reload it at the bottom. And then Neo, it's back down to 282. We're still long at 280. I mean, that one, it is what it is. I mean, we have our structure of the trade. If it wants to break that 75 again, fine, we'll stop out. Otherwise, we're just basically holding on to see if we can't get that run that we've been expecting all morning.
Yeah, Microsoft still running. Wow, 163 and change. AMD, I was looking to go short on that one. We did, and then we had to reverse long, and now we're out of it, so no damage done on AMD. But the top side here, 48.50, looking like that may come into play soon. We've lost on AMD, Apple, and XOM are our 2 negative stocks today. So we will wait to see here if this one can break 48.35. But yeah, missed opportunity here for that. I do want to check back on Roku. Roku's one that I normally can do pretty well on, so I will wait to see here if the momentum can get going. 93.25 is the high of the day. Would much rather a pullback into this 92 area. I don't want to pay the highest price possible, so we'll wait to see if we can't get a 92 and change bid here. Put a bid down here, 92.20. Maybe we fade back down, and then we can use this kind of garbage down here, 91.60 to get out. But I am looking at Roku right now. The only position I have on right now is this Amran, and it's 8 pennies out. We're long at 420 right now on Amran. I think that should be a good one. We'll wait to see if it can hold the top, though.
Yeah, Teva over here continuing to hold strong. I mean, we got trailed out, and I think that was maybe a little bit of a bad decision there. Certainly, it did hold at 880, which was our original stop. It turned around at 895, so, probably will go into, I don't know, I'm not going to be happy with that trade, but I'm not going to say we should have had a better line in the sand, but we certainly should have. That's the reality. Sometimes you've got to stick with your original stop. But I do like this one now to test in front of that 9 even area. So if we can get a nice little price here, anywhere around this 910, this VWAP will build back into Teva on this relative strength that it's showing. Again, the market is cruising towards the top here, 1.5% on the NASDAQ. So you want to find some strong names. We get a secondary push. The ES really trailing here on the ES. It's worth noting Microsoft. That's a missed opportunity. I mean, ultimately, you did get a big time breakout through that 160 mark. You were mentioning that price. Sean mentioned that 160.50 area. I doubled down, showing you on the daily around that same price, a reason to like it, and then just didn't end up with the execution. Don't get me wrong. I know Sean had like half a dozen longs, and I had 5 longs. Microsoft should have been one of them for me. It's approaching 164 right now, but a half a dollar away from that. So big time breakout. It's only 2% to the upside as much as it's moved though.
Unbelievable, Microsoft. I mean, that was a great trade, no matter which way you look at it. We don't even get into Microsoft until 160 breaks, so sometimes patience is king here. So 160 break, we get in, and then we hammer it. It just gets out. We get it out. We know we have another buy coming, and we buy it again. You can't see, but we buy it again at 160.50, and then we're able to get it out all here for about $1, and then hold the last little bit for that 163 before tapping out of that one. I did take some more Amran here at 11. It looks like it's going to be breaking down. Look at this size, so watch out here. Amran coming to the downside in a hurry with the size following it. So this is going to be a little bit of a slippery slope for yours truly here. We're going to wait to see what happens near $5. That's right where it's going, guys. Or sorry, $4 Amran. Yeah. If it breaks that, we're going to be out, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a pretty good level on Amran. So like for me, I don't mind doubling down or adding back into this position after we finally got some profit out aggressive. But I want to look at, if we roll over and can't get any higher in the market, I've done this before and I will try it again. And you got to do tight stops when you're shorting something like a Carnival Cruise because you can see the moves to the upside get quite big. It's a heavily shorted name there. So you got to be nimble with your retracement shorts. But we have put in a bit of a double top at 1408, 1409 or so. I will take a shot here, shorting within this range, 1380 to that 1410. If we can build a position, that's what we're going to try to do here in Carnival. Again, not going to let it get past that 1409. We'll go 1410 for the stop. Work into a short. There's just so much room to get a retracement to 13, and you're not even at VWAP, and that would be almost $1 winner. So we'll take our shot here for the first time short in Carnival. Brendan, what do you got for us?
Another little crazy mover today, guys. Little Chinese internet company, CNET, up 55% here on decent volume. Got back above $1 early on this morning. This thing was halted a couple of times already, but pushing away from $1 again, about 60 to 70 times relative volume on CNET. Guys.
CNET. Okay,
Good
we'll definitely
look
have
on
a look
CNET.
at that one. I know Neil's been trading a little bit. Okay, let's review our J&J. I was going to look at Boeing there for a second, but those of you that noticed, we are now out of J&J. Our positions will flash on the bottom, right? So you'll be able to see what positions we do have. Right now, I only have Amran long, and that's at $4.17. But here's our J&J 132.30. We take that long. If you wanted to know, here, we do have a little graphic that can help you out here. Our buy arrows. So right here, you're going to see some buy arrows right now. This blue one, and maybe I'll make this screen a little bit bigger. The blue or purple, I guess it's blue, but that is a 132.35 buy, and then all of these reds are sells. So you can see we take it out here for 58, that's 30 cents, then 40, then we get it out for 70-cent winner, and then back again. That's a little out, hard to see it there, but that's an out again on that graphic. So I just want to tell everyone that we are now out, and that was 133 break. So now we're down to 142 and change. I will look to get back into J&J right now. Only up right now, down 0.4%. Was expecting better for that. Let's see if Amran can't get going here, guys. If this goes, we should be pretty big. So we'll wait to see here if this can get back into the 420s. Now I'll be profitable after getting some long down here at 10s, 11s. We'll see if we can't get more, but I'm looking at you, Amran. 51 million shares today and doesn't seem to want to break the bottom. So we'll wait for that to break $4. If it does, womp womp, then I will be flushed down the toilet on this trade, but I like it. We'll see what happens. We do have TG Watkins from Simpler Trading coming on, so if you guys are interested in that, check that website out. Check out his handle there on Twitter as well.
Yeah, quick check back in on Zoom, which look, it bounced off of that 146.50. I'm sitting over there looking at CCL, talking you guys through that trade, and then miss it once again. So this is a very, very key price, but it's worth noting a shallow move to the upside, and if it fails to put in a higher, sort of higher high here again, you topped out in front of that 150. That's where we got out of our trade. It then stalled out at 148.50. If it stalls out here at 147.50, you're going to show a little bit of weakness coming into this name, which has been relatively strong. Usually, remember, this is down 2% on the day when the market recovered back to positive. So the market rolls over from here. You're going to have to watch out for the possibility that you're shorting Zoom. And remember, they had some bad news there with those privacy concerns and whatnot in the investigation. I didn't think that was going to affect them too much. We've already had a nice long trade. If the selling starts to come in, you got to be able to get away from it just a little bit here. I want to jump back to our Conagra short as well. This one basically holding out below this little VWAP, and this is what we're working with. I wanted to add above 30. We have a 30.25 stop. I might not be able to get that price. We might have to build a position instead of 30.10s and 30.05s. Might have to just build it right in front of that 30 even to be able to put this one on, risk that 30 cents to see if you can flush back down to 29.50 or so. So I like the structure of that trade, but we might have to get a little more aggressive with our entry.
Yeah, exactly. Not really moving here is VVUS. We're trying to look at VVUS here. We will quickly have a quick look at that one. I know Neil's been talking about this one. 27 million shares. We don't have any shortable shares on this. I did request, let me just put out 100. No, we do not. So I can't short this. So if you are able to, talk to your broker about possibly getting this, but up 300% today. And it's come down to 364 a bunch of times. So if you're trying to pick up some longs, this is not a bad spot. Even right now, 372. You can dump it if it breaks down below 365. So VVUS, a name to be looked at as well. As my Amaran doesn't want to go past $4.16. We're long at 4.17. So we're waiting to see if that one works. Other than that, man, the only other idea I have on right now is, and I know Neil's just talking about it, but come on, CCL. CCL breaking back down below 1350. If we can get that trade, I think that'll be good. Then you use a 14 or 14.10 or so top here. But Carnival Cruise Lines, we've absolutely smoked that one. We were flossing that one off early. And I know a lot of you guys gave some good credit for this trade. That was a fantastic one off the halt. We'll see if we can't make another one through 13.50. Brendan, what's up, bud?
I feel like we're getting close, guys, when it comes to a vaccine for this COVID-19 thing. This is another company I've never heard of, KNSA, saying today that their COVID-19 vaccine has shown promising results so far in trials, in human trials, that is, against the virus. So nice look here, KNSA. Not a lot of volume, thinly traded, but up about 40%, guys.
Oh, man.
Good look there.
Yeah,
I'm
good
actually
luck,
looking back at that top. So look at this 25 level on the way back in. You saw the parabolic move. This stock was above 50 cents coming in the last few days. I like this one. If it breaks 25, we'll jump back into the shorts. You can use the top end of the range here, work your position to 28 or so, and then 20 cents was the bottom. I've seen these stocks try to get off those lows and then retest them a little bit later on. But one thing that I can talk about in terms of testing, I didn't think I'd get shares above 30 on Conagra. Looks like that's going to happen. We have our short at 30 even, exactly, adding the last little bit there, but 25 is our stop. That could get taken out as we're about to look to get into tops on the 25 break. We are short in Conagra right now at 30 even, but that's working against us with these futures trying to take the top off here in the ES, trying to get past this 26.30. We hung out here earlier on overnight. Let's see if it can't break through. We had 2 longs and 2 shorts, so kind of poised either direction. Take off your shorts for a small loss, hopefully, and then let your longs run.
Look, man, no baseball today, but or maybe even this year. I mean, I'm hoping it gets back before summer, obviously. But yeah, Microsoft was the home run. Yesterday, we hit a monster home run, 154 long, guys. Now today, we hit the monster home run, 160 long. And the only reason I'm a little bit disappointed is look where we got out of our last bit, 163 there. So you can't hold everything forever, but what a great run this futures had there today. And Microsoft straight to the upside. This is my only long. We have one at 160, then one at 160.50, and then ding, 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 straight to the upside. And we were panicking when all this was happening because I had like 6 or 7 longs. So that one came in, and then we had to manage everything. Would have loved to hold on to a little bit more, but we did not. Before we go to Sector Watch, I just want to talk about J&J. If this one can get above this little level, I really like it. 133.75. We're $1 away, though, on this name, but I just want to bring that to your attention in case it does happen when we are on Sector Watch with Brendan. Let's go to the big screen, guys.
And as we mentioned, we are positive. Let's figure out, as far as the S&P is concerned, what is moving the market higher. Yeah, about 0.5% to the upside here, 0.52% for the S&P 500. Flip over to this side so you can see this group right here. Energy stocks leading this rally, leading the market back into positive territory today. Still about 4 or 5% for crude oil to the upside. That means DVN, OKE, and FANG all more than 10% to the upside today. Noble having a nice day. Oxy as well, 8.7%. There's Hess and CXO 8+% to the upside. So energy stocks making up the biggest portion of this move higher so far. Consumer discretionary group in the services sector. This is all of the cruise lines, guys. RCL, CCL, NCLH, and even some of the hotels getting in on this action as well. All moving back into positive territory today. 12% for RCL, 7% for CCL, and Norwegian up there 11.5%. So nice day. There's MGM as well, about 5% to the upside. Some of the websites, some of the retailers in this group kind of mixed so far. Expedia, Booking.com as well, 4.7% to the upside. But then you can see Macy's here, Dollar Tree down 5.5%. So overall, consumer discretionary stocks positive, but all of that is coming from the cruise lines. To the downside, we can go to this little real estate group. That's where you find all of those little REITs. I mentioned one of those earlier on, all in negative territory. Banks are weak today as well, kind of offsetting this move. INF and WRB in the insurance group, both down more than 4.5%. STT, the only one really showing any signs of strength so far in the diversified group, up about 4%. Everything else pretty negative there as well. Utility stocks are red. Materials kind of mixed so far, a little bit flat. Consumer staples positive as well, but only slightly. Overall, 0.37%. We're trying, guys, but it's really only the energy stocks that are lifting this market higher today. Back over to you.
Throw some shade on the energy market there. Oil here, 2067. So we're still up 3%, but ultimately it's not a massive bounce after we flush down back to that 2035 mark. Once again, testing 20 even. Don't want to get to those teens. You got to watch out for that. So that Conagra short working out for us right now. It did tip towards our stop. We had 25 as our out. It holds. We're short at 30 even exactly, dipping down. It's got to break past 29.80 before we start taking profit off all the way down towards this low of the day. You can see I have some orders out there right now. That's a good look. We also keep mentioning to you guys, we were building that Neo position in front of 275. Amaranth, I want to add if it gets down to like 405, 406, hasn't really gotten there. And then the last of our positions is Carnival Cruise. Again, just looking to see if it'll hold consolidation and then roll over, giving you a potential test down in towards VWAP, or at least close to it. Halfway would be a good structure from a risk to reward standpoint, but gotta have a tight stop. You can't had this double top here at 1410. You don't want the squeeze to get you. You gotta get out when that breaks 1410. That's gonna be a key area.
Okay, so we did back, good looks here as the market is falling. We did back into AMD, and here we go. We're short 06 right now, so we're coming down to O's. AMD's been a loser for me today, so we will see if we can get out a little bit here on the bid. 48. If 48 can crack, we'll take some out. Maybe I should get out a little bit before then, but we are short now 48.06. Looking to see if 48 breaks. If so, we'll get some out 99s. Then hopefully the run happens even lower than this one. But right now, we are trying to crack. Look at the S&P 500 now. Trying to break below 26.25. We're at 26.18 right now. Look, there you go. There's a nice little winner. 7 cents right there. So we go from bull to bear as we are short AMD right now. Few pennies in the money right now.
Yeah, and that zoom, we talked about why we're getting away from those longs. Watch out. It's back below that key price area. It looks like it might retest that 145, even where there was a bit of a bounce in the bottom. If it takes this out, you're probably marching and retesting that low. So it's about $1.50 on that break if you get it to the low of the day. CCL starting to finally work for us there. We got 1370 to the short side, basically flat, but it did retest, trying to get close to that 14 even mark. Conagra still working for us to the south side. One other name on a bit of a pullback that you want to be paying attention to, and it's not a huge one, and that's going to be that Tesla. We've mentioned that 540 mark. However, I mean, as strong as it's been, if we roll over, we've now sort of bounced off 529, 528 a couple of times. As strong as it's been, like I said, if we turn around here, that could be a nice short for you, breaking out through 529. And again, if you feel bearish, that could be a play. I already have Carnival in a similar structure. Same thing with Conagra. Either one of those could be maybe weaker names that you can turn around if we roll over here towards 2600 on the ES.
Yeah, good look. I'm hoping that we roll over a lot right now. Boeing. Okay, so Boeing could come in to play here for me. I'm waiting for 156. Let's just check out what that's doing now. 157 and change, 156.50. I'll take that short right now. Again, it's right near this VWAP is 156.30. Let's see if Boeing can come through, and we'll make our first plane ride trade today. We haven't traded AAL or anything. We traded CCL. Let me check on to see what CCL is doing right now as well. CCL, it's still hovering around. I was waiting for a 1350 break on CCL. What do you have, Brendan?
SXTC, guys, little Chinese pharmaceutical company, is a penny stock, 61 cents rather this morning. Just catching a bid here. Look at this volume coming in. Big time volume, just pushing this thing up to 75 cents. Not seeing anything in the way of news on this thing, but SXTC moving, guys.
Good look there, Brendan. Also moving here, it was a great exit point, pointing out that 13 even area on American Airlines that we got out in front of, but all the way back to our original entry at 1250 with the market basically not budging. So look, I'm going to take a shot here. This was an entry price we liked before. It just bounced off that 1250 area. So you pick something up here, 57s. We'll start maybe add to it, 56, 55. Very, very tight stop at 1250. Just gives us some long exposure here in case we are headed to the upside. We are in the short in CCL, which could bounce on us here, and also have that Conagra short. I want to make sure we have some exposure in case we do get a second leg. Nice entry point, I think, in American Airlines.
Yeah, we are in Boeing right now, 156.40, 156.50. I think it's 156.49 there. So yeah, it does not break. It gets as low as 38 there. We take 49, so we have that to the short side, looking good. Unfortunately, our AMD does go right back up there. So look at this trade again. It's basically a flat trade. In right here short 07 or so, and then out for flats, some 99s, some 01s, and then we take the rest out at 16. So you lose about 7 or 8 cents on the upside, and then gain that exact amount on the bottom. So a little bit of a washed trade there on AMD. I guess I got to stay away from this one. I keep going back to it. I'm really thinking we can crack, and then when we do, I just have visions of back down here. So 40. I guess I maybe need to wait for this to break. I think I will. 47.95 is going to be my next patient level. Here, guys. Hopefully we can remain a little bit patient on AMD and get this if it does break down below 47.95 right now. My Boeing is working though, so we'll see if that one can continue to head south side, as Boeing right now coming into the money, 156.50. We're getting close to seeing this one head a little bit southbound here. We need the futures to go though for this one to be successful.
It's been a bit of a hamster wheel here in that ConAgra, just holding around VWAP. We structured the trade in and around this price, so trying to get that 30 even or hold as close to it or maybe even a bit above if we can. We did get our first leg out for the quarter, so 25-cent win, but that's only 20% of the position. I am going to reload on this one. We have exposure both ways here, so we can play the inside of this range. If we get anything between 30 and 30.15, we'll try to add back in if it comes in, but we'd much prefer that it just goes further to the downside and doesn't get us another entry. Why not? Let's just be a winner here. We do have that short in CCL, which is testing that top. We cannot let that break 14.10. Watch out. It's probably even worth a reversal through that price. Greg, I sort of agree with you. There are squeezes happening in that space, and you want to make sure you're not caught. You have to have a hard stop in a lot of these sort of travel names, or the Carnival Cruise Lines or RCL. Either one, you got to make sure you're not getting squeezed out.
Okay, here goes Boeing finally breaking that 156.30, 156.50 level, and we're sitting on the bid right there at 11. And believe it or not, guys, it's bouncing off 11 right now. We are sitting right here on the bid, 156.11, trying to take that quick 30 cents on 25% of our position. We'll wait to see if that one gets filled. It literally, you can see this wick. It just bounced right off of us. 156.11. Okay, we'll wait to see if that one comes back down. Hopefully the futures can give us that price again. I can't believe we just bounced off of us there, but we are ready for Money Talks over at the big board. Let's give it to Brendan again.
Hey guys, yeah, already currency time. Let's have a look at the FX markets here. We'll see what is moving around as far as currencies are concerned. I want to focus on the euro today. It is in negative territory, down about, it was down about a full percent, but coming back to the upside a little bit, 0.8% now, 109 and about a half. But overall, I mean, if you kind of zoom out on a chart, this goes all the way back to the middle of last year. We had a big move down, obviously, from 150 down to a low of 106 and a half. We're kind of consolidating now, about halfway back on this big move to the downside. This is 110 all the way down to about 109. So there's a bit of an area, 110 to 109 for the euro. There's a whole bunch of economic data out this morning in the European zone, also in the UK. It's kind of in line with expectations, but a little bit of a negative look again today. 109 and change for the euro, down today. So is our Canadian dollar, down about 0.6%, 2 days in a row to the downside for the CAD. 70 cents once again. And change. We were below that briefly, came back above it yesterday, back to 70 again. For the Canadian dollar, the British pound is also negative, 123.7. Japanese yen, the Swiss franc moving higher. Both kind of have been moving one in the same over the past couple of weeks with this volatility. 0.8% for the Swiss franc, 0.3% for the yen. Today back to the upside. Wanted to mention Australia and New Zealand, both significantly lower today on some economic releases as well. Out overnight, 1.1% for the Aussie, 1.5% for the New Zealand dollar. They're only 59 cents and 60 and change for the Aussie. Crypto's not doing a heck of a lot. Bitcoin is positive. Ethereum not so much, down about 1%. 134 for Ethereum. Overall, pretty muted on the currency markets today as well, guys. Back over to you.
Okay, guys, yeah, and do you guys remember, thanks, Brendan, for all that, and you got to check out your money there and you know what currencies are good. We don't trade much Forex at all on the show, so we will try to get better at that. You can see here, we gave you, I mean, I talked about this Roku. I was going to wait down here at $92. That never came through. We saw 1, 2, 3 breaks of 93, didn't happen, and then unfortunately I didn't put the order in. I was waiting for a lower price, but here's a nice little break on Roku. So if you did have that 93 area, and we'll draw like a little ellipse right here, and you can see what we're talking about. There it is right there. This little area of $93 was some kind of resistance, bounced off there about 3 or 4 times until finally you get the break, and now you're up about $1.50 on that trade. So we're waiting to see, man. My only 2 positions right now, and we can call up the position board. We'll update it and throw it up to you guys. It's just 2 very simple trades. It's Amran. We've been holding this one all day. There it is. Yeah, the board's up. Good. Amran long at 416 and Boeing to the short side, 156.40. We tried to take profit, but missed on our Boeing trade. So we'll massage these trades a little bit here and see if we can't get going. Here's Amran. This is what it looks like if you guys don't have it up. It's not moving. The chart here, it's bounced up, got as high as 14. I've taken more shares long in here. We just took some 07s. So yeah, I could rinse that for 5 cents, but we're waiting to see if we do get a break. I'll feel a little foolish because I could have rinsed this trade over and over again, taking longs and getting out, but I'm hoping for a little bit of a break, and we can set our day on fire if that does happen. So let's wait to see if we can get a nice little win here on Boeing.
Breakout on Sean, their breakout on Conagra there. We took out our short there in front of 25, moved our stop to 14 on Carnival. It was looking entirely too strong. We're about to get up and possibly do our trade of the day, but should have had the reversal on Conagra. We only got flat on the 25 break. You saw the tight consolidation it had. Usually that's a reversal play. We did have 2 long positions, so 3 long positions on during this, so we're letting those kind of run here. We picked up that American Airlines below this little VWAP at 12.59, so we like this one. Just starting to take it off here at 12.70. Want to see if we can't run back into this 85 area. Not going to be as big of a win, I don't think, as the first long, but why not let it run? As the futures are holding this area just barely positive on the ES for the time being. So we'll let this one ride here at AAL, and then watch out because Carnival just broke that 14.10. So I take it off at 14 early, and 14.10 was that key area. Now I want to be long on the break of 14.10 in Carnival. That double top has got taken out. Just got some long at 14.12. Brendan, what do you got for us, bud?
Canadian Natural Resources, guys, mentioned this one way back at 10 o'clock. Still looking really good. Just made another new high on the day up here above 1334. If you're following along in New York, you can trade it here in Toronto as well. But broke 13 on decent volume there. The one in New York, we are talking about CNQ moving with energy prices as well, guys.
Yeah, energy straight to the upside there. Now oil now breaking through $21. So here we go. We'll get out of some of our Boeing. There we go. So we get out of some of our Boeing there to the top side now as 157 breaks on Boeing. So we'll wait to see what's going to happen now on this stock. But 157.50 now holding. We actually are not out. We're waiting for, sorry, my mistake, 158 break there. So, you know, Boeing right now a little bit in trouble, but we will wait to see. We are short 156.50. Obviously, you're seeing the futures making that move now to the upside again, trying to break through 26.30. We'll wait for 158 to break on Boeing. That'll be bad for us, but hey, what can you do? We're trying to make a winner on this one. You know, we're trying to make more than $1. This is a well-structured trade. We're short at 156.50. We'll give it about $1.50 worth of room, like I just said there. 158 will be my kill spot on Boeing, and yeah, it didn't break that level, so we're going to wait to see if VWAP can hold it. Hopefully it doesn't, and we can trade back down here around 154. Guys.
I'm going to go Admiral Akbar. It was a trap on CCL, but we did mention over and over again that double top when it broke. You had to cover your shorts, reverse to the long side as the trend does continue. We quickly scalped out 20 cents of a win. Going to see if we can't hang on to the rest. I mean, the time of day is probably going to be a little bit tricky here. I'm going to move my stop to, not necessarily break even. We'll still give it to 14. I just don't want it to go too far on me here in case we're not going to get a secondary move. Always worth keeping things in perspective. Yes, we're up 11%, but this is also what the chart of Carnival Cruise looks like. There isn't really a resistance of any significant kind until you get to about 19 even if you go and look at the last few sessions here, you could probably pick out something about 15, and again, that's about 70 cents away, so watch out for that level. I'd love to see us run to 15 even. That would be a great structured long trade. Carnival we have to the long side. We're starting to piece out some of our American Airlines that we grabbed long once again off that 1250 area as well.
Yeah, you know what we haven't looked at much today is Uber, so we'll... why is Uber not in our stock logos spot here? So, okay, there we go, Uber. So we'll hail a cab am over here. Okay, Uber right now on the downside, 27.82. I'm definitely looking at you guys for a short here through 27.75. This is a little break here. We've bounced off there a couple times. Let's take this one. What's up, Brendan? We're going to be short Uber.
A little one here, guys. VUZI is another kind of play on the whole remote healthcare advice. Telehealth, if you want to call it that. VUZI moving up today. 24% had a little bit of a halt there at 160, coming back down to 140, 150 now. But VUZI, all kinds of volume in this one too, guys.
Good look there, Brendan. Just noting that top. We still like it on 25 break. We like it even more because of how much it's holding this level. When this gets taken out, we'll try to pick this one up when it does and see if we can't work the shorts even all afternoon if we have to. That's been so good all throughout the last couple of afternoons for me if you follow along. And stay tuned in. And we do have that chat and trade after we're done here at noon. But more importantly, you want to make sure you stick around for our guest of the day, our trade of the day, which is coming up very shortly. I did jump back in, like I mentioned, to the long side reversing in Carnival Cruise. I put a $14 stop, so we got the first half out for a scalp profit. but we now look at that 14. It just bounced off it right now. So we got very fortunate there. If it holds 14 even, like I said, we could have a shot to run up to 14.50, then 15, and not a lot in the way, but it's a relatively tight stop given how overextended it is and that we're rolling over in the futures. The market's coming back in. I can't sit here and expect us not to at least test, maybe pick a better spot on this long trade. When we're overextended in a name like this, I don't want to get too greedy. It might stop us out any second now, and there it goes. So Carnival first half worked. Second half, I don't know. We'll go puke job on that second half of that trade.
Yeah, there must be something happening here with Boeing. We're about to get out of this, and unfortunately, if we had anything else short, guys, we took Boeing right here, right at the top of this market move, and we went short. So, thinking that this should fall, and it's not. It's just ripping up here. Boeing up to 158 and still going up. Look at my AMD. Like, you want to talk about taking anything short? Yeah, we were short AMD all in here. We had to absorb it through that move. If I just had held on to this one and not gone to you, Boeing, we would be monstrous right now in AMD, but whatever. Such is life. You lose a little bit of luck there. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. So right now it's Amaran and Boeing, but we are ready at the big screen now with a little bit of European update as we go short Uber now with Valeria. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to the European update. Europe, as you can see, is in positive territory today. Britain is up 1.08%, Germany is up 0.83%, Russia is up 4.75%. Well guys, quick news from Europe. Britons who are stuck now abroad due to coronavirus outbreak are going to be flown back home under a new deal between UK government and airlines. Boeing, Virgin and EasyJet are among those airlines. A group of MEPs is urging Prime Minister Boris Johnson to postpone his Brexit deadline as countries now are fighting with the coronavirus outbreak. That's all for now, and I'll keep you updated. Back to Brandon.
Hey guys, 11 o'clock. Let's get into Trade of the Day. We're going to have a little bit of a review session here. We mentioned a whole bunch of names if you joined us at 9 o'clock this morning that were moving around in the pre-market. Zoom was definitely one of those. ZM to the downside in the pre-market after the New York State Attorney General said they were going to investigate some of their privacy practices. So start off with a little bit of a negative look. Neil is set with Trade of the Day today. Let's go to him.
Thanks a lot, Brennan. And when we talked about this one in the pre-market, always tune in at 9 o'clock so you can see some of the preparation, the names that we're looking at that are going to be in play. As you mentioned, that investigation, bit of a negative spin there. But both Sean and I were sort of looking for long opportunities in Zoom. It's been a relatively strong stock. We've mentioned time and time again in this market environment, the first few minutes at the open, especially on the higher flyers, stocks with a bigger spread, can be very, very tricky. And you want to be very patient a lot of times and not force trades. If I want to pick up a long in a Zoom, I had a level that we talked about in the pre-market. You can go back a couple of sessions ago. There was a nice bottom made yesterday about the afternoon or maybe midday or so, just around 147. Also picked out 146.60 or so a few sessions ago. You come in, you get a base before that price level in the pre-market. It tries to run off of that level. You get a flush through. And once it's failed through this price, what I'm looking for is, do we make a bottom? That's one indication for a long. The second thing is, where is that top? It fails continuously, 146.50 or so. So just shy of that 146.60 we've already identified. Now I have a target for where I'm going to be bullish on the stock. It's through that price. I did mention as well when I saw the double bottom come in that it could be an opportunity to pick it up with a tight stop in front of that low. However, was unable to get that entry. But let's see how it did work out by jumping into our first clip. I was looking at a few levels here, and I've got written down for myself. 146.60 was a nice level when I looked at the. If you looked at the last few sessions or so, I did like that 146.60 area. It looks like a nice little sort of maybe not even a pivot, whatever you might want to call it. But if we can bounce off that, that could be a good one. As well as 145 should be support. So if you look at some of those prices, I tend to favor them in both directions for breakouts. However, I just be cautious. That first level, that 146.60 area. If you do short that, you got to run into a possible bottom there just $1 away. So especially off the open, I would be a little bit cautious with that price level, given how big the spreads can be and how whippy some of that action in the first couple of minutes is. I just feel like the winning percentage, the last little bit on some of these more thinly traded names in the first 5 minutes isn't necessarily that good these days. So you hear me talk about that level, liking it in both directions, but then why I didn't absolutely love the short, and this is why we stayed away from it, and it turns into a pivot point when you break and hold below. That point, you're looking for that breakout trade, just as we mentioned. So again, once this is happening to you in the first few minutes, if you don't have any kind of a plan going into it, it's hard to see and pick up this trade unless you've done the legwork before. This is what trade preparation is all about, Brendan.
Yeah, I love that you were patient with that as well. If you rewind the tape back to the pre-market, one of the things we talked about with Zoom was spread can open up, can be very, very thin right at the open, and really easy to get whipped out of this thing. It did give you a nice flush off of the open, but if the plan was look for a long, wait for the move to the downside, wait for the bottom to be put in, and then start showing you higher lows and moving back to the upside, and that is what did happen. Let's go to the next clip.
I want to jump over to Zoom because it's still in the middle of this range, and I'm waiting for this 146.60 break, and also looking to see if we can't catch something near the bottom on a bit of a bounce. Zoom, I don't think is going to hold that range. It's a breakout candidate through 146.60, but this market looking a little bit weak. That top position, we did load back up. We still have that stop at 28. Our long is here at 29 and change. So on the way up from 25, fantastic run. We'll reload and then only risk about a penny or so. So it's not a lot of risk on a name like tops if that 28 goes. But Zoom got that order ready to go in terms of a breakout through 146.60. And then, of course, we've talked about that. So you see me there patiently waiting for that break, and you're going to look at the structure of this trade and say, yeah, but why don't you just take it when it's giving you that sort of 145.50 to 146 area? And again, I need to see it break through and show me that we're willing to trade above that key pivot point. Otherwise, I need that long in front of that little bottom there. There was an opportunity to catch that. Unfortunately, I did not do so quickly enough. But once it gets into the middle of the chop, that's not where I want to get in. You can take the initial entry and maybe on this little pullback here when it holds, try and catch it on the way back up. And yeah, we should have done that at 146. That can be a tricky trade. Again, the spread is going to be against you there, so hard to work into the second part of the position. But this is what we talk about when it comes to patience. I like the break. I need to see it test that level. I need to see it then fail to break down at that price, and then we like the long at that point. Otherwise, it's got to be right at the bottom. I'm not messing around in the middle. I've gotten into too much trouble with that trade lately.
Yeah, a lot of different ways to kind of approach this type of idea. When you see a stock like this, you make a move to the downside right off of the bat. It tests that same low then 1, 2, 3, or even 4 times the very, very low of the session I'm talking. Neil, maybe kind of walk through how you could approach, putting a long trade on versus that low of the day if you wanted to take a little more of an aggressive approach to this type of trade.
Yeah, I mean, usually what I'll do is once I actually see that double bottom, and it's probably going to be right in here before it actually tests that low, you're going to want to see where is the bulk of this range. You do have a sort of an obvious consolidation area. It was very, very whippy price action. That's why I didn't get involved. And if it's whippy price action, sometimes you just got to step all the way back, allow it to actually test the low, which it does do right here. Nice little volume spike. You catch some volume as it retests the bottom, and once it bounces off that, you're trying to catch it on the way back up. Right, so you're willing to pay 50 cents, whatever it is, to catch that, Brendan.
Yeah, nice little break then of that consolidation back to the upside. You have a clear line in the sand at the bottom there, but if you're waiting for that momentum to start moving back to the upside, again, lots of ways to approach a trade like this. We get back above VWAP, gives you another consolidation and a break to the upside, which was the clearer buy signal. Let's go to the next clip.
Much all morning for. We wanted to wait for this one to make a real bottom here, bounce through 146, take out that 146.60 level that we're looking at. So it did. I like this one now in front of VWAP. We'll add to this position, and hopefully we hold above and start to make a move towards those pre-market tops at around 150. So Zoom, we got to the long side. Yeah, I'm sitting there watching that clip back as we're getting that break, and I'm talking about if we can hold this little level here back at 145.50 in front of VWAP. You want to be adding to the position. What did you see in that clip? You saw me with my hands off of my keyboard talking to you guys. And what we should have been doing is, yeah, I can talk about the position. The hands got to be on the keyboard. I got to be ready to act to catch this on the way back up. That's the reason I'm not getting 146 and doubling up on that position at a better price, because I wasn't necessarily ready for it. You can talk all you want. You can have a plan of action. You can have the position on. But when you get those reload opportunities at better prices where you're strengthening your resolve or getting stronger indications that you're right, you got to be ready to act. And so that's one of those things that you got to do a little bit better. Hands on the keyboard at all times, or whatever you're using to make sure you can execute those trades. As I watch that back, kind of angry at myself, but look, it ends up being a good little run through that little breakout. We're able to immediately identify where we like our targets. You can see consolidation in the pre-market that we were looking at before around that 148.50, just shy of that, and then also that top at 149.50. Those are the two places I already knew I wanted to have my position out for take profits. That's the structure that we worked with. So almost everything was right. But we should have had twice the position on that reload, Brennan.
Yeah, when you're moving back through a prior range like that, whether it's the pre-market or maybe the prior sessions range, gives you a very, very clear idea of where you can start taking out shares on the way up. You kind of have to treat that a little bit differently than an actual breakout trade when there aren't clearly defined levels, and you can almost kind of trail it on the way up and see how far it wants to go. But clear levels there from the pre-market as to where to take some profits. Let's go to the next clip.
Here comes that zoom for me. We're up about 220 on it. My target is basically right here. We're just going to take it out. We get 149.35. It kind of cut off a zero there. Time to punch through. And again, I'll show you this pre-market level here. That was at 149.70 in front of 150 that we wanted to take this one out. Structure of the trade was 146.60. We set it off the open. That was going to be the price. I didn't like the long until we made a bottom, and I was willing to take that long once we based out, but it never really gave it to us. And then we didn't like it till it was a breakout through 146.60, which was, of course, our key level. So great trading in Zoom. Sean, you got that one as well. Yeah, great trading there. I'll give you a couple of points here before we throw away and go back to you, Brendan. That 150 top, you like that a little bit better to either hold through or jump in on a break if A, you don't have negative news on the day in Zoom and it wasn't down to begin with, and B, the futures were looking a little bit stronger. We're just barely getting back into positive territory. Yes, the NASDAQ was strong, but it was driven by a couple of other bigger names. I know Tesla was moving there. So Zoom, maybe not that situation. I'd be looking to hold through that 150 mark, but there are times when you're looking to ride that trade through, and then once it breaks 150, put a trail at that price, Brendan.
Back to the upside as we speak as well. Interesting to see a little bit of relative weakness coming back into Zoom, though, as the market continues to kind of grind higher. Zoom with a really deep pullback once again. So stock that has been very strong over the past couple of weeks now seeing a little bit of profit taking possibly, but all kinds of opportunity today, both to the upside and then maybe a little bit of a fade idea in there as well. On Zoom, one that we mentioned at 9, if you joined us. Back over to the guys.
Yeah, Zoom's been a pretty good trade, and yeah, one of those names that just keeps on moving and keeps on working for a lot of traders in this environment. I know we use Zoom. We're about to have Zoom right now with simpler trading coming with TG Watkins coming up soon using Zoom products. So, okay, we're not really doing too much here. AMRAN still hovering around that $4 range. We're back into a long here on Microsoft at 163. That's kind of, we've been back and forth there, taking some profits, taking some hits, but right now the future's not doing a whole hell of a lot. If we break down below this little level here where we got out 162.70, we'll get out of our Microsoft, but we're long right now 163.09, so it's right here right now. If this goes 30-40 cents against us, we will get out. So a little bit of review there. Boeing right now, I took out a quarter for basically a 20-cent hit. That's basically flat. Like I mentioned here, the futures did make this move down and Boeing didn't do anything. So right now we're just kind of stuck, man. The volatility has kind of disappeared right now in the market. You can see, and we'll talk about that with our guest as well, 26.30 to the top side, 26.06. So basically, since the market opened today, we only had, almost like a 40-50 handle range, which is next to nothing. So if you are trying to play a little bit of volatility, you will get hit today unless you pick tops and bottoms. But I'm still waiting for 158 to break on Boeing, and the same thing on Softy here, 162.70. We'll take some out if we get up a little bit here, though, to take off some risk in this market that's really not moving. We need to sort of start counting some of our nickels and dimes here. It appears we're not going to be getting dollars anymore today, guys.
Yeah, you know, Sean, as I sit back down, I'm actually just noticing that Amran, one of the few positions I have left on, as we got most of our risk off there, bounced again off that $4 mark. So, you know, if it's going to do it one more time, I have my stop there for our long position. I'm going to see if we can't load back up in some 3s and some 4s. Even just took some 5s there and just, you know, give it one last crack. I mean, ultimately, there was a nice bounce play. We loaded up before, got greedy, didn't take the 10 pennies it gave us. This time, I think if it bounces off 4 again, and we'll have an average price of about 4.5, and we will take that profit. So last ditch effort here in Amaran, one of the few positions we have left on, still flat over there on American Airlines. But I know you guys love this segment here. It is time to go to the big screen for In Focus with Valeria.
Hey guys, well, millions of Americans already have lost their jobs due to coronavirus crisis, and the worst is yet to come according to the Federal Reserve estimates. The economic freeze could cost 47 million of jobs and send the unemployment rate up to 32%. The 30% unemployment rate could top the Great Depression peak of 24.9%. There are nearly 67 million of Americans whose job now is at high risk of layoffs. A record 3.3 million Americans filed initial jobless claims for the week that ended on March 21st. The only positive prospect, according to Fed announcements, a quick recovery. The analysts say that this is a special quarter, and after the virus will go away, people will go back to the work and will be fine. I'll remind you that according to a $2 trillion stimulus bill, Americans, individuals will receive $1,200, married couple will receive $2,400, and kids will receive $500 each. Well, that's all for today, and I'll keep you updated. Back to guys.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if my kids are getting that kind of money. If they are, hand it back to dad right now, and we'll see. They're going crazy. We talked about Nintendo Switch yesterday. Let's check that out quickly. As Microsoft, guys, a big little cash register once again. Look where we're long. We're fighting that 163 level. We take some out now, 163.60, 55 there. You can see the trades at the bottom. So once again, a siren alert on this Microsoft long. Our best longs down here, 160, 160.50 cashed out. Now we enter the long again and see if we can't watch this one run to the top side here as Microsoft now in the money. 53 cents. Our Boeing trade, that didn't work. We talked about that. I knew there was some danger when it didn't break this little VWAP level here. Now we're getting to the upside. We're waiting for 158 to break. Unfortunately, that will flatten that trade, and we will go arrow down here, hopefully to Boeing, but it has been nothing but arrows up. And our Amran trade, I know Neil talked about that, but that's stuck right here at $4. I don't know what it wants to do. There is some size here at 4 even, but that size will just get chewed up. I'm not playing off that. It's just that that's basically the low of the day here in the open session. So we'll play off of Amran here at $4 and see what happens. We're still long at 414, so not a great spot to be stuck right now in that one, but 2 longs and 1 short, the short being Boeing.
Yeah, quick look over at the price of crude oil there. Just back down to that 2050, 2060 area. So not really sustaining that bounce off 20 that we saw this morning. And a name that we're trading earlier is going to be Oxy. And then we'll see this one fall back. It tried to break 12 even. When we reversed to the long trade, we got out in front of 12. You want to see us with our last trail there that kind of stinks at 90. And it did get briefly through 12 even, getting to 12.10 or so before pulling back. It's now come in rather heavily. That initial bottom when we shorted this was down here at 11.50. We're getting out in front. We want to see a retest of that level. It was a great short below that price yesterday, so showing a lot of pullback here in Oxy. Still up 6%, but I think maybe if we can take out some of these bottoms, and again, the market can seem to make a bit of a run here, a second push anyways, and certainly oil can't. You're going to have to watch out through with Oxy through that 1150 mark. If it wants to hold it, fantastic. I'll grab a long in front. Otherwise, it's going to be a breakout. That's our pivot area from yesterday. We're going to use it again today.
Okay, great. Yeah, lots of stuff going on, guys. Welcome to our chat. If you're here for the first time, if you're here from Facebook, welcome, YouTube. Much more active chat. We talked about that already today. We have Kevin O'Leary on the show tomorrow once again to talk everything coronavirus and some new ideas and some old ideas that he may have from the investment world, including MindMed. And we're actually going to call that up right now. MMED traded over here on the NEO exchange, but in Toronto. Wowzers. What a great move today. 25% up on MindMed. And this is microdosing. And, you know, you guys can find out a little bit more about it. It's mushrooms. It's microdosing. I'm going to call up a daily chart. You can see we had Kevin on this day, March 3rd, when this IPO'd. It's a reverse IPO. They took over the symbol. You can see, man, last week this thing was 30 cents, 38, 40, 50, 60, and then today we get to 78 cents. So great little look there from MindMed here. We'll have Kevin O'Leary on tomorrow to discuss this opportunity. So check that live between 10:20 and 10:30. We haven't scheduled for 10:30, but join us at 10:20 tomorrow as we get ready for Kevin O'Leary live, guys.
Yeah, good look there. And our trade of the day was on Zoom, but look at this, pull back in. It was a great long opportunity, fantastic. But you're looking at that weakness we kind of mentioned when we last talked about it. And 144.50 has been a bit of a bottom, but it's sort of worth noting that it has put in. This would be a higher low that it's trying to put in right now. And we talked about that negative news not necessarily being a gigantic deal. I would give it one more shot if we can hold 144.50, but you just got to watch out. We're teetering on that positive to negative story over there in the ES, and you don't want to get that flushed out. So if I try it one more time, I'll use 144.50, but I also don't want to have the ES or the NQ make a big dip down on the ES. It'll be like 2,600. It's got to be above that price for me to gauge the long, but it is finally time. Been looking forward to this all morning long for our guest of the day. So let's throw it to Brendan Wickens for the introduction.
Hey guys, yeah, thanks very much. Really happy to have TG Watkins, Director of Stocks, with us today from Simpler Trading. If you remember back last week, if you joined us, we had Danielle Shea on from Simpler Trading. Talked a little bit about their website, some of the information that you learned. Trading, great website. Go check it out. TG Watkins joining us today to talk a little bit about his approach, talk about the markets a little bit, and stocks specifically. There he is. TG, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Obviously, a lot to get to. I mean, these markets have been just absolutely crazy over the past couple of weeks. Want to jump into your style and your approach to the markets here in a bit. But first time on the show, so why don't we start with a little bit of an introduction. Tell us how you got started, both in the business trading and also with Simpler Trading.
Oh, well, in the business. So my dad managed his own money when he was, in the workforce. And he always told me, he said, better to do it yourself than have somebody else do it, especially when it came to managing money. And so he actually took me around to a stock trading seminar for my first one when I was 12. It turns out to be here in Texas. So it's kind of been around me for quite some time. I tried day trading in college. That didn't go so well. And then when I got back around in my late 20s, I had my own cash. And I said, I think it's about time that I go back and look at this stock market thing again. And so I really got into it full time. He started taking me around to seminars, and this time I actually knew what was going on with them. And from there, I really just started digging in. It took me a few years to kind of figure out my own path and my own indicator and my own method. And from there, some of the mentors saw what I was doing, and they said, I think you should really take this and go do something with it. And so they gave me their platform, and I started to teach and educate. And then I started to grow a business out of it, and I had my own self-employed business trading education for 3 years. And then that's when I ran into Simpler Trading. And now I've been here for just about a year, a little over a year. So I'm very happy to be here, get to see Danielle and John all the time, and it's been pretty fun.
Fantastic. Obviously focused mainly on stocks. We'll jump into your approach here in a few minutes. Want to touch a little bit on what people can expect from the website, from your room over at Simpler Trading. Talk about some of the information that's available there and what you focus on daily.
Yeah, well, so I'm Director of Stocks at simplertrading.com. And as far as my room, I got the Moxie Trader room, because that's the indicator that I've created. And really, I just trade stocks. I really like to look at charts. I teach people very much about the flow of the market, how to actually read charts, and so that they can take this stuff and apply it to themselves. We've got some really strong traders in the groups, but they maybe have a day job, and they want to be able to have me do the legwork of really doing all that research and bringing the stuff to them, and then they can go take their own trades. So being director of stocks means that I really just trade stocks. I'm not an options trader, and so I just tell people, here's the trade I see coming up with this stock, and here's how it's going to flow, and this is why I'm expecting it. And if you want to go do something fancy with options, by all means. And I got people who make some really good money off of my recommendations through their option constructions that they take with it. So it's been fun to watch other people have success with this.
Yeah, let's jump into that a little bit here. Let's talk about stocks. Obviously, from a broad perspective, tell us a little bit about your approach to trading stocks, what you look at on a daily basis, some of the instruments that you're trading regularly, and how you really break down your maybe morning routine, your approach to a trading day.
Well, I'm an end-of-day trader. It was one of those things that I had to do as developing as a trader and figure out, well, what's my style? And as I said earlier, I tried day trading futures when I was in college. I tried figuring all this stuff out. I spent a lot of years just trying different types of trading, and I couldn't really quite figure out what worked for me. And it was really, really nerve-wracking, and I just didn't have the attention span to do day trading and watch the market all day long, especially with a position on that was fluctuating all day. And so what I found out was, what really made the difference was I needed to know where the stock ended in order to know where it was going to go the next day and into the future. So I just figured out that I need to be an end-of-day trader. And so the kind of things that I look for, I just start scrolling through my either my scanners or the market or just my general watch list, basically the last 2 hours of the trading day, and then I move money and place my trade basically in the last half hour of the day. And so for people who follow me, I think they like that because they know exactly when I'm going to be putting trades on. And then for most people, if they're working, maybe they can step aside just about an hour, half hour before the market closes. They can go through the things that I've sent out as far as text alerts, and then they can go act on it too. Maybe even some people can do it that night when they get home from work, and they can put an order in for first thing the next morning. So I just look at it that way. As far as what you're asking about, like what kind of products, well, since I just trade stocks, I don't really care about the underlying options, so I don't know if these stocks have good options or option spreads or option volatility and volume, but I do look for stocks that are going to be moving a lot. I can't trade something that's going to be like a Johnson & Johnson that might move 10% in a month. I need something that's going to be moving 10% in a few days if I'm going to be making any money with this with just stocks. And so far, my track record has been that I've been able to double a couple accounts, so 100% gain within about a year. That seems to be my sweet spot so far.
Great stuff. Yeah, no, it's an interesting concept looking at maybe what has happened throughout the session and then, forecasting, the last half an hour or even, 20 to 30 minutes of the session as far as the individual stock goes. Over the past couple of weeks, let's talk about volatility a little bit here. We've had, ranges expand. We've had volatility go through the roof. The overall market has been moving. How has your approach maybe shifted or had to change because of that volatility, if at all? Maybe your ability to see a day's worth of trading and then project the last half an hour has still been successful over that time.
I got to tell you, it has been great. This kind of stuff is what I live for, because as a stock trader, when we start getting moves like this, the volatility like this, it is fantastic, because now I'm getting moves that would normally take a few days. I'm getting in like 1 or 2 days. It is fantastic. So I'm really happy about that. We've also been seeing that the option spreads and the option premium have been really, really out of whack. So it's been very challenging from what I hear that to trade options in this, because you got to be right. Otherwise, the volatility and the premiums really kind of eat into your profits and your gains, especially if you get the choice wrong. And as far as us, what I've had to do mostly is just go down to lower time frames. My bread and butter is usually on the daily and the hourly. I've been having to step down to the 15-minute and the 5-minute to catch the same trades. But my structure, my principles, the rules, they're all still the same. I just have to go down on a smaller time frame because everything's moving so quickly.
And that's a great point you make. Obviously, some of the same setups, some of the same looks that you see on those higher time frames, you can then see and find on shorter time frames, which kind of leads me into my next point here. Let's talk about managing risk a little bit. Obviously, if you're used to trading off a 60-minute or a daily time frame, you have certain risk parameters that you can apply to those time frames. How has your risk management had to change along with the increased volatility lately?
Mostly we've been cutting our position sizes in half. So what we can do is we put on half as much money on each trade, and then we can maybe expand our stop. Maybe we don't want to double our stop, but the math would be the same right there. The risk would be the same. But we do need to understand that the volatility is moving around. Like usually I'm going to have a 3 or 4% stop. Well, in order to find where my area would be, or that moving average that's going to tell me that the trade is wrong, it's now having to be like 6, 7, 8% in order to capture that. So that's why we just step down and we kind of put a little bit less money on there and realize that this might move around. The other thing, and I've been telling this to the subscribers, is like we might be getting just more, stop outs. It just might happen. The volatility is here. Things don't really follow the normal rules that we have to do. So we have to be really judicious about the ones we go in, expect more stops to be hit, but then also on the good side, when we get one in, like we just went SDC last week, I put a trade on at like 9:15 in the morning. 5 minutes later, that thing was up and starting to scream. We got a 50% gain in 2 hours. Now, as I said, I'm not a day trader. I wasn't expecting that thing to go that big, but this is the kind of stuff that happens when you get a hugely oversold market. You get short covering rallies, and then these things are just ready and geared to go to the upside. So that was a pretty fantastic day for us.
Yeah, obviously, all kinds of opportunity, both directions in this market currently. Talk a little bit about that time frame. What typically is your holding period for a trade? Is it you're taking a little piece off maybe into the close and then holding the rest for the open the next day?
Yeah, I get that question a lot, mostly because people want to say, okay, well, how much can I be getting in a certain period of time? It does depend on the market. I always have to quantify that because right now, these trades are happening very, very quickly. Right now we're in trades for maybe just a few days, whereas normally in a good uptrend, we can buy a position, we can maybe add more a little bit later, and then we can carry this thing for a few weeks. Right now it's a few days. The other reason why we've had to shorten our duration for these trades is that we're still basically in a downtrend. And what we're doing is we're just picking off trades that are going from low to high or going from oversold to running into moving averages and resistance that is overhead. And it doesn't take long to get there. And once they're there, then they're going to pull back. And all we want to do is capture that distance from low to high, and then we'll reassess in a few more days after that. So we've really just had to be a little bit more active. So far, it sounds like everybody in the channel is having a good time with it. But it's something that we're going to have to adjust. I tell people that I haven't had to trade like this since 2015, so I had to kind of blow off the memory banks a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the, we were talking about the VIX this morning, even the VIX still really, really elevated, so volatility still, even with the market kind of settling down a little bit, still very, very high. Let's talk about some stocks here. Let's talk about what you were looking at today, maybe what you have on the radar going into the open this morning.
Well, going into the market, basically this week, so today's Tuesday, going into like Friday over the weekend, I was kind of looking for price on the S&P to pull back and test some moving averages, to do maybe a little bit of a retest of lows. Now, what it turns out is that we might have actually gotten that in the overnight in the futures on the ES, because what you see is there was a dip, I think, either Sunday night, Monday morning, something like that. It seems that might have been just enough to confirm that, okay, we're testing the lows and everybody's buying. So right now what we're looking with the S&P is so far it's following the 15-minute 50 SMA right on up without needing to pull back and touch, say, the hourly 50 SMA. So far, we're just watching this stuff go. And since that's happened, I'm looking at something like Weight Watchers, Carvana, Net's actually doing pretty well. DocuSign. I mean, we're trying to think about things that are still surviving in an industry or a climate like this. I mean, think about Chewy, mail order stuff, internet providers. We got to think, okay, what's doing well right now, and what does everybody know? And so far, those are doing pretty well.
Yeah, great move on that net today. We're actually looking at that one as well at one point throughout the show. How much focus do you kind of, or tie, I guess, do you put when it comes to that futures move? You mentioned kind of following some of those moving averages on the way back up. How much of the attention are you putting towards individual stocks doing the same thing on a daily basis?
That's actually when I was going through all my watch lists yesterday and going through my scans. Yesterday really was the day, because going into Friday, going into the weekend, I didn't really want to initiate too many positions because you never know what's going to happen, especially since going into Friday, going into the weekend, the market was basically at the 21 EMA, which is a pretty typical place for price to stop and turn back around and to retest lows. And so I just said, let's hold off, figure out what's going on Monday. Monday, we open up with a little bit of a gap down. We got that moved down in the ES and the overnight, and then price just kept holding up. So we're like, okay, I think we need to look at this. And then I went through all of my stocks on my watch list, and I started noticing that a lot of stocks were looking pretty good, that they were flagging and holding and kind of squeezing in some of these areas. And just from my general observation of the market, it's like, things look pretty strong, and I think I need to get on board. So we put on like 3 trades yesterday. I put on 2 or 3 more trades this morning. As I said, I'm in a day trader, but I wanted to see what the market was going to do, and if it held up, I'll just jump on it right now. And so far, pretty much everything's doing really well. So right now, we're looking at the market keep kind of trending up.
Yeah, I want to get into maybe what's coming up later this afternoon as well. But first, let's go over to Sean. Sean has a question.
Hey, how's it going, man? It's finally nice to see a pure day trader like yourself. That's great. I did want to talk a little bit. I know you do a little different systems than us, but a lot of people don't understand the kind of work that's involved after, a show like this or the chat room is closed. What kind of happens after the fact? And you talked about looking at some overnight levels in the futures and whatnot. Break us down maybe after 4 o'clock. What are some of the things that you look at? Do you look at earnings? Who's coming through that night? Who's coming through the next morning to try to find those stocks where you can get those 50% rippers? Or do you wait sort of until the morning and check out a few different scanners and see which ones are moving? Why don't you break down a little bit, even just a quick 30-second answer? So what does your day look like after the market's closed?
Well, I don't like to trade earnings. I feel like they are very much of a gamble.
Right.
I know that it's risky when we trade stocks, but when it comes to an earning, that is a big news event that I have no control over, and people will either maybe buy the news or sell the news. Like, which one is it going to go? It's
right.
just an event that I don't want to have to deal with. And I've just learned through experience that most of the time I don't miss anything. Even if price pops, there's always a second opportunity to get back in, either when price flags into some moving averages and it's a good buy there, or because it popped and it was unsupported, it's going to come right back down to where it was before earnings, and so I can get in right there. So I just I don't miss anything when I just skip over earnings. And then as far as my day, really I'm looking for most of my stuff in the last 2 hours of the day, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, where do I want to place my money? And then once the market closes, I kind of like maybe go back over the list that I had and say, okay, is there anything that maybe in the rush of trying to figure out what I'm going to do, now that the market's closed, my brain's a little bit calmer. Let me go back. Let me make sure I'm actually happy with the trades that I made.
Right.
Let me make sure that I can look and say, is there any trap that I'm missing? Like, am I going to step on something that I wasn't seeing before? And so I just kind of do that, and I communicate to the subscribers and any other kind of things that I see for that.
Yeah, we have, we're sitting on a trading floor of 25 or 30 traders, not now, but when it's open. And we do always talk about it, and shout out to our floor manager here as well. Review your trades, right? And it's great to see that an experienced guy like yourself, and I know Neil and I do it as well, so does Brendan. Review the trades after you're done, because you can look back and sometimes it's so clear that you did miss this key level or a little piece of news or something that you'll look forward to the next day. So thanks for bringing that up. We talk about journaling and things like that all the time. That's a great tip. So
I have a quick question just with regards to approach. I know you talked about looking at things like moving averages. You're gonna talk about your target points. You want to make sure you're getting enough of an upside when it comes to a trade. You're not going to take something if you don't think it can give you that 10% move within a couple of days, so you have your entry point. Now, as you're doing that, how big of a factor does downside risk come in? How important is support if you're grabbing along looking for an 8 to 10% move in the next few days? How much are you considering pre-entry to your trade, what the downside is, and then sizing off of that? Does it start with risk, or does it start with the upside potential in terms of the move you're anticipating?
It mostly starts with the upside potential, because if most of my stops are going to be 3 to 6%. I just know that forever I'm going to only risk something like that. So if I know my downside is basically limited to 3 to 6%, then I got to make sure my upside is better than a 1-to-1 ratio. I want something that can potentially move 10, 15, 20 plus % in order to make the 3 to 6% that I basically know that I'm going to be doing worthwhile. So I look at something, I want to make sure that I'm not buying into an overhead moving average that could act as a ceiling. I want to make sure that I'm actually buying in an uptrend. Now, right now is different because we are in a hugely oversold thing, so I'm having to change up what I do. But what we're still doing is saying, hey, we still need to be over the moving average on the 5-minute and the 15-minute, and then maybe we need to cut through that moving average on the hourly. We're just having to look down on lower time frames. But yes, because I'm a stock trader, because I need these things to flow, I need to be looking for stuff. And so I go kind of for some cheaper stocks often. Like right now, I'm playing in the $4 to $20 range because right now there's a lot of opportunity there. The moving averages are so spread from each other that even from the 8 EMA to the 21 EMA, there can be 20% right there. And so I'm looking at this saying, there's just some good arbitrage opportunity for me.
Yeah, you know what I absolutely love about that? You're displaying that, even when you go to a higher time frame, you go to swing trading, a lot of the things that are going to apply to your preparation, your execution, from day trading to swing trading, to even longer time frames, all those rules exist. Traders have to follow those same types of playbooks in order to be successful. Just got to thank you for giving us your time. We could probably go on forever. We love talking shop with real traders, but we're going to throw you back to Brennan here so we can continue to wrap up. Thanks.
TG Watkins joining us, everybody from Simpler Trading. One last question for you before we let you get out of here, sure. TG. You mentioned that kind of $4 to $20 kind of price range. How have you been approaching these vaccine-related names that have been, going crazy? We're seeing a few of them again today, putting in these, 100+% moves on a daily basis. Have those been in your kind of repertoire over the past couple of weeks?
Most of them have not, mostly because I don't like trading stuff that is so based on news that they're up huge one day and then they give it all back the next day. Some of the ones that come to mind is Gilead. I mean, that thing has been all over the place. It's not really trending, so I don't want to do that. I also have to think about the giant entourage that I have behind me, all the subscribers that I have behind me. I position myself as not a day trader, and so I need to make sure that the people who are here, they're going to be getting these text alerts, and maybe they're can only trade once a day. I need to make sure that if I get in a position that I understand where, like I communicate where the stop is. I don't really do targets, but I want to make sure that I can just communicate something that's going to be smooth for them and that this isn't going to surprise them when they're out at work. The way I run my room is not an actively trading room during the day. It's an end of day, primarily trading room, which I think suits a lot of people. And so I have to kind of accommodate that. The other one I'm thinking of, the only other one that I actually was looking at was mRNA. I think it's Moderna. That one looks okay. It looks like it was coming down to support everything. I was actually just about to go buy that one. That's one of the few that I would say is okay. But generally biotechs I do stay away from because the FDA comes out and says, no, you didn't pass your test. Well, that thing can implode 50% overnight just based on news. And that's too much risk.
Yeah, some of the moves intraday have just been off the charts on this thing, that VVUS today, 300+%. It's crazy. TG Watkins from Simpler Trading, an absolute pleasure, sir. Come back and see us again.
Will do. Thank you.
There you go, guys. TG Watkins from Simpler Trading. Go check out their website. Lots of great information on their website. If you have a look at a little bit of a higher time frame, check out some of the things that TG is looking at as well. Let's go back to the guys.
Great look.
I loved it.
Always nice to have new guests. Welcome. And I'm sure that he'll be a friend of the show and we'll have him back. Thank you so much for that. A lot of interesting names there. Smile Direct. We were on that stock that day as well. And yeah, that was a big move. We'll look at that today. But always interesting to hear different tips and topics. Neil brought up some good ones there, and to me a lot of it was, that's why I asked the preparation. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. People just calling up screeners, looking at different trade ideas, blah 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 blah. It actually takes a lot more than that. You can't just look at levels and start punching like a maniac. You actually got to do a little bit of work, and so it's great to hear that from TG Watkins. So thanks so much for that.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and review AMRAM because a lot of things would have happened during that interview. We dug in front of that 4 even. We took half of this off when it popped to that 420 to 425, and then we jumped right back in to the full lot of shares. It breaks 4. We get out and try to reverse short. It fails at the bottom. We take half out there at 95 when it just couldn't go any further. And then it takes 4 even up again, so we end up reversing back into the long and then just aggressively taking out in front of what was that wall at 415, and then the break even stop. So it's a lot of scalping to try and make a little bit of money on this name. We make some back. What was, I like to think, a bit of a failed trade in terms of just not watching that 4 even be made and just get really aggressive with that 10 to 15 cent scalp that it was giving you all morning long. So that's that one. We'll talk about some other trades that we put on. we might still have or might have missed out on with our wrap. And let's start it off with Brendan at the big screen. Oh, sorry, at the desk.
All right, yeah, let's jump into the wrap, guys. We'll get things wrapped up for this day. It is still positive right across the board here, about 0.5% for the S&P, 0.6% for the Dow there. You can see the NASDAQ still full, 1.25%. TSX really having a nice day here in Toronto, 3.7%. As I mentioned, cannabis names kind of leading the way here. Banks are strong, energy names strong as well. So a good day for the TSX. Brazil's flat, Bitcoin, kind of back to positive now. Same story with crude oil, still up, but well off the highs as we've been mentioning. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the wrap. We'll go back over a few trades that the guys took throughout the session this morning and talk about maybe the news that was involved in the symbol, some of the levels that they were looking at and how they approached the trade. We mentioned first off this morning, Carnival Cruise was back to the upside today, surprisingly, because they came out this morning and said they were suspending their dividend and also discontinuing their stock repurchase program, which I guess is to be expected considering the circumstances, and also extended their suspension of operations. So CCL was moving back to the upside in the pre-market today. Sean, you were all over that one.
Yes, sir. And yeah, thank you for this one, Brendan. Look, this stock was, obviously a fantastic opportunity today, and I should have absolutely destroyed this even much more so than we already did. And thanks for all the credit on the chat today about it, and that's why we're going to review this right now. This was a pre-market level right here, 11.25. Unfortunately, I did not believe that this news was as good as it was, suspending the dividend and so on and so forth. So I was like, you know what? We're going to go short ahead of this 11.25 number. So we do that. Instead, though, it blows out and we get out. So that's a quick 10-cent hit. So we fall in the hole on that 10-cent move right there. But the thing is, let me maybe make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see a bit better. This should have been a long, like breaking through that level. I should have reversed it and gone long, not just ended my short. The thing is, it halts up here, right? Based on that halt news, I see a huge run up right into where we closed yesterday, this 1280 level. As soon as I see that come back and fail down, that's where basically I take this short at 1270 or so, using this kind of 1280, 1287, if not 13 as the out. But look what winds up happening, man. It just falls all the way back down. So it resists this level, it opens back up, bounces off the same level here, 12 and change, 1280, 1290, and then comes all the way back down, and we wind up getting 60, 70, 80 cents on all of this. We hold a little bit back for 13 and wind up losing, but just like our last guest said, there's not much action. I didn't see much after this. Obviously, here's another break, but we're so involved in everything. Look at this. This is $13 here, guys. So once $13 break right here, again, instead of getting out, and we mark this with a little line here, instead of getting out of our trade here at $13, well, we do get out, we should have reversed it long, and that would have given you another big move. But CCL, I see you, and guess what? You're on my radar once again for tomorrow. I absolutely love this stock. To me, this is a short squeeze today. Someone's getting squeezed out of this stock. You see the daily chart. This has been beat down and beat up, so we'll see tomorrow what does come through. But obviously with the market now up 0.5%, CCL well outperforming, up that 10% on what I thought wasn't great news, but that's a trade here where we flashed the money. So we hit the siren and we make a lot of money on this trade, but we could have definitely made a lot more. I'll be back for you tomorrow, CCL.
Yeah, incredible relative strength in that name today, going from negative back to positive and right up to 10% as well. So a nice move on that entire group. In fact, most of the cruise lines moving back into positive territory today, as are some of the airlines. We were talking about Boeing a little bit. We were talking about AAL. Going to go over to Neil with the AAL here, but wanted to mention Boeing kind of lagging this group a little bit, not showing as much strength. AAL came out and said that they were going to apply for up to $12 billion in government assistance this morning. That was in an internal memo that Reuters actually saw. So $12 billion in assistance coming, or possibly coming, from the government to AAL. Neil, you had this one.
Yeah, you know, I did have a Boeing trade on, and it could be worth reviewing, but I just think AAL was a much better play and setup from a day trade perspective here. And I came in, I was looking at the afternoon session. Sometimes you look at those key levels that get put in. Where is there resistance? Where is there support? And there was some selling that held us back at 12.50 in the afternoon. American Airlines. You open up and have a wide range from that 12.50 up to 13, right into the open. You made that move. So as it flushes back down, the first thing I'm thinking about is, okay, can you hold the bottom end of that range from the afternoon? It's a stock that is up. It's a sector that is up, looking to find some strength on the day. So can it hold those levels from the afternoon in the previous session? And once it does that, I'm looking at that same 12.50 that was the top. Right there at about 318, 319 yesterday. And I'm just taking that little breakout. And the structure of this one is just, you catch the break. I'm not expecting it to make a fresh high. It's already extended. It's a weak space. But it gives you a nice risk to reward. About 12.30 is your bottom. You get to move into that 13 even area, which we do. I take it all out in front. And as a matter of fact, as the market fails to make new highs, it gives you that reentry again without the market falling back. So we take this one again, and we're sitting in that 12.50 another time, a second reload here. It's a slower trade. It's taking a little bit longer to move up, but you're still taking, the first little bit here, 10 and then 15 cents, and it's still going. We're holding half our position in American with the same 12.50 area stop. So a couple of dips at this one. Either way, I'm not expecting it to necessarily break through that 13, but it doesn't have to hit a nice trade on a $12 stock.
We mentioned Boeing there, Neil. Why don't we have a look at Boeing as well while we're talking about the airline group? Boeing did have a bit of a move to the downside initially, but then back to positive territory as well. They received an FAA airworthiness directive when it comes to their 757-200 to 300 line of planes. Apparently an inspection found a crack in a fuselage, so now they have to inspect all of them. So it was interesting, though. Boeing still positive on the day with news that you would think might be negative.
Yeah, and I'm going to flush myself down the toilet. It's not often you take a dollar win and you're not happy with your performance on the trade. I know AAL was certainly a better look for me. We caught this one sort of on the way up, and it had a flush at the open. Then it made a breakout through the opening range high. And when I took this trade, all I was looking at was, okay, well, it's going to try and bust through at 158. It fails, and then it comes back to that pre-market top. Once it retakes that and sort of holds it, we're looking for that long trade. We get in. We get a little bit jittery when it looks like it's stalling out, trying to test that 158 again, so we take it off. And you see this trend continue. And one thing you can do when you want to scalp on the way up in a trend, what you should do when you're taking it off in front of that 158 is just look for some re-entry points here, and it gives you one at 157. And then there's the run that you're really looking for to 160. I missed out on it. That was the same time we had a bunch of long positions on. And so what can happen there is you get a preference to a couple of other names that you feel should be stronger, and maybe the news had something to do with it, maybe just my fixation on that 158 that we failed at before. Whatever the reason, we took this one off too early, and if we're going to do that, we certainly should have been looking for a re-entry point that was right there for you at 157. You got to be able to play those trends when it's very, very clear, making those higher lows all the way up. Plenty of entry points, and I only had the one.
Yeah, there's a whole group of stocks in that airline group moving around today, including some of the smaller ones with news as well. Spirit Airlines said they're canceling all flights to New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut because of warnings, obviously, from the coronavirus in the tri-state area. So save the symbol there. You can have a look at that one as well. Let's talk about Beyond Meat a little bit here. Not a symbol that had direct news related to it today, but obviously a stock that moves almost every day and gives you opportunity every day. Sean, you had Beyond Meat today. Talk us through that one.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to bring this one up is because of exactly what you just said, except the opposite. Today, Beyond Meat does not move through that level that we thought. If you guys can look here, look at the futures. 10:07, right, is when we get into Beyond Meat. And here is 10:07 in the futures. So you could see we break through 2,600 there, and we rip up 30, 40 handles. Every other stock I had goes multiple dollars, and Beyond Meat doesn't go anywhere. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, that we dump Beyond Meat right here here for flat, and I just wanted to break it down just a little bit for you guys, because when you get in and you're expecting the stock to move, so 68.72, it has about a 20 or 30 cent spread. So when it only goes to 69 and then stops, again, this is a key level, right? $69. I love playing off those even dollar levels. It stops, it does not break it. Then we get out of half here, basically when we break our point where we got in. And then I wait for it to drop all the way to 68 even before getting that out again. So you're going to see on the bottom that we lost $1 on this trade. Could have been worse because we get as low as 67.50. And imagine even if the futures kept falling, I think this stock would have given up the goose. So, we do get out of Beyond Meat, and every day we're not just going to sit here and review all of our best trades. I mean, this is one here where I'm actually happy to get out and not commit more capital to it. A lot of the time you'll see me re-up, get back into shares like I've been doing on Microsoft. You see that often on stocks like Apple, names that we have good feels for. Look, Beyond Meat was my #1 stock in 2019, but when we don't see a move happen off this, especially when the futures rip 30 handles on the face of Beyond Meat, that should have gone. And when it doesn't, we kind of give up and move on. So Beyond Meat right here. And as you can see, I think a good look. There's so many other stocks doing so many big things today that we have to give this one up. And that's why I wanted to review it. Just sometimes you're in names. And again, it goes back to T.G. Watkins there. Why trade stocks that aren't moving if you can trade stocks that are? So we did have a decent amount of risk. So we get out, wash our hands, and look to something else. I think that's a key aspect of being a trader, especially if you're going to be a day trader. You have to move on from those names that aren't working for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. I think it's important to mention as well, we go back and review not only the trades that worked well and decide, why they worked so well, but the ones that didn't, and figure out why and how we can improve the next time. Let's go to the energy sector here, guys. We were talking about crude oil in the pre-market. It was up 6+% at one point. We came all the way back to about 2% to the upside. Seems to be kind of consolidating in between that 2 and 3% move to the upside at this point. But all the energy stocks were moving in the pre-market as a result. We talked about some in Toronto as well. CNQ, huge move to the upside today. But let's have a look at Oxy, obviously tied to crude oil today, along with Halliburton. I mean, you can look at XOM as well. They all kind of gave you the same move. But Neil, you had Oxy today.
Yeah, and the story for Oxy was trying to get out of when you get into like a scalp mode in a range and you want to jump away from it and start working into a breakout or a bigger trade. That was the challenge that I had, because I'm going to show you guys what was going on right before the open. You had a clearly defined 1175 top, and then there was an 1150 bottom, and this was a great level yesterday. We're looking at 1150. It couldn't take it. 1125 was the entry point, and then the flush out at 11 even. So I was already looking at that 1150 as a bit of a base that we're going to open up above. So when it holds here in the pre-market, and then right off the open, it holds not once but twice, and then you get that 1175. It's like, okay, it's doing some volume. There's going to be a scalp in there for 20 cents or so, and then a flush if it can break 1150. We grabbed that short, knowing full well you can't let it take out that high. The entire space was strong. You want to make sure you reverse. But once I'm in scalp mode, I'm taking that 20 cents, and when I reverse long, immediately in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, we took 20 cents to the short side, we're scalp reverse, let's take 20 cents to 12 even, and then I do that without even considering, hey, let's let it extend through 12 and then maybe put a trail on it. I put a trail on this before it even has a chance to extend, and look, it's going to look like that was not a bad decision because it only got to about 12.10 before pulling back in, but that doesn't mean it was the right decision. When you get a move like that, 1150 was a good base. You get a breakout of a tight consolidation. It was a beaten up name that has room to run. I think it was probably worth giving it a little bit more room. Once it extends past that 12.10, maybe put a trail in at that point. Yes, it looks like that was a good out because it didn't go any further, but I certainly think that once it got out of that tight range from the morning, I should have expanded both my stop and my upside potential with that long that we reversed into at 1180. It's going to end up being a scalp both ways that was successful, and it's going to be a good stock for us. I just feel like the structure of the trade will be better with a bit of a different approach on the reversal in the future.
A couple of minutes ago here, Neil, I want to stay with you. Let's talk about this tops. We mentioned a couple of the shippers over the past 2 days. This one kind of slipped through the cracks. I want to make sure we get to it today. Over 100 million shares for the past 2-3 sessions now in a row. What was it about this tops that you were looking at today, Neil?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I've basically been doing one thing on this in the last couple of afternoons, and it's like I'll watch it make a top in the morning or early on, and then basically be looking at the fade play. You go a couple of sessions ago, went parabolic in through about 30, and then you get these retracements, which is very similar to what I like to look at in the pre-market, but it's happening in the second half of the day. And then I'm just working the shorts in the afternoon. We did it a couple of sessions ago. You can look at what it was yesterday. This was a great one off of the 60 top. I was taking this one in through 55. It flushed all the way down to 40. So you're getting nice 10, 15, 20% returns with that play. Now, I've basically been ignoring it or missing out on this one in the morning, and I give 110% credit to 1,000,000%, or whatever you want to call it, to Greg, who said, hey, look at this at 20 cents on a bit of a bottom. Look at what it's doing this morning. You get this nice little base. It's been flushing back in, giving you fantastic trades in the afternoon, but look at the volume start to pick up as it approached a breakout, and you get this little level here at 25 cents. Greg had a great trade. I think he had 21 cents he added at. I didn't look at it till it broke out through 25, and you get a parabolic move to the upside. So, for me, it was something I was looking at for retracements all afternoon, the last couple of days. It gave you this great setup on increasing volume, and right here at the open, you can see the volume spike. That's exactly when we got in. It was a breakout at 25. You get out at the very top. We're taking 10 cents on a 35-cent stock. Fantastic returns. We get away from it, and what I should have done, and I'm probably going to look to do now, but I think it's a little bit too late, is that retracement play. Once it fails to make a secondary move here, I get out at 28. That was where my stop was the entire time. It turns into a fantastic short, exactly what I've been doing in the afternoons. If I put that on a little bit earlier in the session, we're making probably just as much money on the short as we made in the long. But a great look there. For some reason, I was only trading the second half of the day because it was an easier setup. But shout out to Greg, one of our traders, looking at it in the chat, dropping it in there. Fantastic setup. You can still catch it at 9:30 as long as you're watching.
Yeah, hard to ignore 100 million shares on the day as well. It's crazy. 150 million shares at this point as well. The only news on that thing today was there was an offering, a share offering, 8 million worth of stock at market at the open. So a big move down, obviously, in the pre-market on that news. Let's, have a look at what's coming up after market today and before the open tomorrow. I apologize. I don't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned pump early on in the chat. There's ProPetro rather, set to report earnings after market today. Neil, your BlackBerry is reporting today as well.
Yeah, BlackBerry. We'll look at it. Obviously, it's a light board there in terms of earnings season. Winding down a little bit. Not a lot of big names. BlackBerry sometimes, every now and then, is worthwhile trading. Post earnings, you get a little extra volatility. Maybe that's going to be the case. I'll be honest with you. What I'm probably going to be looking at is going through the list of stocks I had on my watch list this morning. Which ones are still showing good volatility there that we want to make sure we track in on some of the key levels that maybe didn't hit or that we can play again. That's going to be the first step for me. Things that have been good every single day, like a Zoom, will be top of the list. Something that I think we missed out on today, and I know Kevin was talking on our chat there about Tesla. Missing a couple of key levels on that one. Got to make sure that's going to be on the list for tomorrow, so we don't miss out on some good moves in a stock like that. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm still looking at probably looking at Amran. I think that's a good look right now. I didn't get out at $4, so we're going to wait to see if that one can get going. And here's Amran right now. We've been getting some out here, 410s, 412s. We absorbed that $4 break there. Don't get any out, and now hopefully this can keep going. I still think that we can get into the 20s here, so we're still holding 60, 70% of this position as we go. We're short Apple, we're short Boeing, and we're long Amran. It should be an exciting one. It's been kind of slow today, so I think for tomorrow, we'll just see if the volatility can't pick up here heading into a new month. This has been the worst quarter since 1987. What's up, Valeria?
Hey guys, first of all, I would like to say thank you for all of your activity, for all of your likes and comments. Well, hit the subscribe button right under this video so you will get notifications when we are on air. Guys, we are live every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And today and this week we have amazing guests. So tomorrow we expect Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, at around 10:30. So guys, you don't want to miss that. And of course, hit the chat and trade. I sent you the link on that chat. We'll continue to chat about everything, trade the noon, and I think close will be very exciting today, so go there and say hi to me on the chat. Well, guys, today is the National Tater Day. What's your favorite potato types? Mine is mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes, you say. Favorite potato? You know, I like the twice baked potato that they have at the keg. So that's pretty nice when you bake a potato twice. So that's a good one. Those roasted potatoes look very nice as well.
Those look okay. I'm not gonna lie. I really do favor sweet potato if I can. I'm not a huge potato guy overall, but you know, mashed sweet potato is my go-to. If I have to pick, if you got a good enough gravy, just traditional, you know, mashed potatoes are gonna be good. But it's all about the quality gravy. It's got to be tasty, otherwise it's not worth it for me.
I actually did roasted potatoes last night. They actually looked very similar to that picture. A little rosemary, some olive oil, salt and pepper. Throw it in the oven. Can't beat it.
You see Brennan over
there.
like,
that guy did. There we go. There's the roasted potato. You're welcome. I'll be back tomorrow with these things, so don't worry about that. Yeah, smash potatoes. Smash the like button, guys.
Yeah, guys. Absolutely. Kevin O'Leary tomorrow.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
How excited are we for Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, back again tomorrow?
Yeah, very excited to have him back. Of course, you know, we're going to be talking a little bit about, look, this lockdown is affecting everybody, and certainly, you know, mental health is going to be a thing. How do you stay sharp? How do you sort of get past those doldrums? And I think certainly that'll be one of the topics. We'll talk about MindMed, which had a successful IPO and has continued to actually run. I know Sean was pointing out back up double off of those bottoms, you know, after retesting. So looking like it's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. You can always start at 9 o'clock. That's what we like to do with the preparation. He'll be on at 10:30 or so. And for the entire team here, it's been another fantastic day. Make sure you jump on the chat for the second half. Valeria, our chat maestro, doing a fantastic job as always. Our resident chef or potato maker, Brendan, and Sean Katina as well, as always. You're throwing off the order there, Rob. And for myself, Neil Roberts, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is tradertv.live. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, Apple.